Hello, gamers from around the world. This is Boxenberger, the video game enthusiast from Germany, and I would like to welcome you to today's episode of the World of Gaming. And boy, this was 1 week. Unfortunately, Dutch, we didn't have a podcast last week because I was out of the country. Yeah, so we are back here
sunning it up in Spain.
I was sunning it up in Spain, indeed. Well, we had a great time there.
Yeah, I'm not jealous at all, Moxie. I'm not jealous at all.
It was a bit a late birthday gift, kind of, sort of. A couple of friends, I know them since kindergarten. We were born all in 1983, and we basically turned 40 over the last couple of months, everyone. And so we decided to gift that to ourselves and went to Spain for 4 nights and had a great time there. But that's the reason why I don't want to say unfortunately we missed last week podcast because it was an awesome time. But yeah, we didn't have a podcast last week, and boy, are we back this week.
Yeah.
Lots to talk about. A lot of negative stuff.
More negative than positive, but unfortunately, we'll get through it.
Yeah,
we'll get through it.
But yeah, we will also have positive topics. Yeah. It's not just that. Yeah, so
there's a couple of positive ones, but we'll round it off properly. Yeah,
absolutely. But let me first welcome our awesome community. Welcome to you guys. The chat is already filling up, and I feel like we are not the only ones that have the need to talk about this and everything that happened this week. So it's awesome that you share the time with us and talk about everything that happened in gaming, especially on the Xbox side of things this week. But we will also have a lot of other topics if we get to them, of course. Yeah, we've got some updates on different games coming. We have some interesting stuff about the Switch 2 and the PlayStation 5 Pro. A lot of new infos about EA and stuff. So let's see where the show will take us, Dutch. But how are you doing?
Yes, good. Obviously 2 weeks off since the showcase, so I've just relaxed. I've been at work. I haven't really had a chance to game and things, but we have kind of touched a couple of games that we can talk about in a bit. But yeah, it's just been work and then home and then relaxing and watching loads of telly. That's pretty much all I've been doing recently. So yeah. Good otherwise. Good
otherwise. That's good to hear. That is good to hear. All right. And of course, a big welcome to everyone who listens after the fact, either here on YouTube or on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon, wherever you're listening. Welcome to you guys. As always, you guys can vote in the chat what gameplay we are going to watch, and I put up basically the 4 games that I have been playing in the last 2 weeks. And I've been jumping around quite a bit, which is unusual for me. I usually tend to stick with 1 game, but there were a lot of things I wanted to play. So, yeah, of course, you can vote what you want to watch here today. And of course, we want to hear from you guys in the chat. What has kept you busy in gaming? What games have you been playing? Before we dive into all the controversy, we want to talk about, of course, the stuff we play, the stuff we enjoy. So, Dutch, what have you been playing? I know not too much, but a little bit of gaming time you got in, so...
Yeah. So the little bit of gaming time that I have managed to do was courtesy of the awesome Acer from Gaming Arcadia.
Is Game on Daily is no more.
Yeah, Game on Daily is no more. Shout out to them. But yeah, so I've been doing some Sunday gaming sessions with them, which has been awesome. So we've played a bit of Halo Infinite, we've played some Forza Horizon, some Forza Motorsport, we've played some Chivalry 2, some awesome, basically just awesome community games with a lot of people involved and just having some fun, that was been awesome. And then outside of that, the only game that I've had a chance to play, I've downloaded a ton of games recently, like indie things to jump on that I haven't had a chance to play previously. So I downloaded the death one. I forgot the name of it. Have a Nice Death.
Have a Nice Death.
I'm ready to rock and roll on that. I'm looking forward to that one because that one's. I keep forgetting to pick it up and play on it, and then it dropped on Game Pass out the blue. So I'll try it out there and probably pick that up.
Sweet.
And aside from that, the only one that I've actually put considerable time into single player wise has been Ayuden Chronicles 100 Heroes.
Oh, sweet! I've been playing that too. So what do you think?
It's beautiful. I like the turn-based combat. I like the synchronized attacks. They were like friendship attacks as they are.
Hero combinations.
The combinations. And you feel really OP. I do feel it's maybe a smidge easy to start off with. I'm wondering if it gets harder the later it goes through.
It gets harder.
I hope.
I actually enjoy that very much about the game, how they handle the difficulty. Because it's not like you feel, when you have random encounters in the world, it's that challenging to get through. And then you have, with the boss fights, certain difficulties spikes, but a lot of turn-based games do that, and then they get kind of frustrating because when you fight up in a turn-based game, a boss, it can easily take you 30, 45 minutes easily, and then you die at the end and you have to start all over again, and that's sometimes where a lot of the turn-based games get into a downer, and I feel like they handle that very well because they have the difficulty spikes, but it still feels pretty much fair. And you see why some of the regular fights are a little more easy because they help you to level up your party, and it is. I really do enjoy this kind of. It's not too challenging, but there are certain difficulty spikes coming. Trust me.
Yes, yeah. No, otherwise it's beautiful. I like. It's definitely a huge throwback to traditional JRPGs, and by that you've got the big open world map like you had in Final Fantasy 9 and 7, where you're kind of running around the open world and you get the screen goes off and then an enemy attack comes, and it's like traditional old school JRPGs, and it's nice to have one like that looks so pretty. And it doesn't look out of place or anything like that, and then in the towns it all looks pretty. I didn't expect everybody to be voice acted, to be honest, so shout out to them for doing that. Like every character I've come across has got a voice actor or some form of voice actor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is insane considering how many characters they've got on there.
You literally have 100 heroes, and once you have a couple of them in your party, you can choose, and not every of these 100 heroes will join your party, but you can randomly pick which of those 100 characters join your party, and even then, in the storyline, in the conversations, all of those characters you can choose have lines in the storyline. It's like crazy.
It's no wonder it took them so long, especially when you've got 100 fully voiced characters that have all got their own personalities and traits and things like that, and different attacks as well. Not all of them have the same attacks; they've all got different attacks. Different things that you can equip for each of the characters that are all a little bit different, and it's really good.
Have you encountered some of the fat characters that will take up 2 spots in your party?
Not yet.
It's crazy, man.
No, but it's a beautiful game, and any traditional JRPG fan, shout out to Vin because I know he's in your chat there.
Yeah.
If you haven't played Ayuden Chronicles 100 Heroes and you're a traditional JRPG fan, absolutely pick it up. It is really good.
It really is good. It really is good. Let me briefly catch up on a super chat, and I'm devastated to read that. H. Julia writes in, and when I was asking how everybody's doing, the answer was tough. My friend's boy died in a traffic accident. I'm very, very sorry to hear that. I
Yeah.
don't even know what to say. I think
Yeah, there's no
there's
words for something
for
like that.
something like
So
that. Uh, my
yeah,
condolences. I'm very, very sorry. And take care. If there's anything,
yeah,
reach out. DMs are open. If there's anything we can do, uh, I'm super sorry to hear that.
yeah.
Dutch, I don't know. I don't even know how to continue here.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
It's not a nice
it's
one
not.
to read, but
No, it's
obviously, hopefully, you obviously you'll be there for your friend, and
yeah,
it's going to be a really rough time. It's not going to be easy for months and years ahead. So yeah, obviously we're here for a shout if you need to chat to us, but hopefully you reciprocate and do the same to your friend.
yeah, yeah. See, if something like this happens, like everything we talk about here and we get
Yeah,
upset about and annoyed about, is just so mundane. It's
yeah, it is absolutely.
ridiculous.
Absolutely, and you know what
So
it is. It's sometimes it does kind of frustrate us as well when you see some of the people acting the way they do over plastic boxes and games and things like that, because you think there's so much worse things going on right now
yeah, absolutely.
every day in everybody's lives. This is like the least of the worries. Like, you can understand if you're a developer and you're directly affected, why it's a concern and why it's hard and things like that. But for us as gamers, it's honestly it's not worth getting as stressed and as worked up as is that.
Yeah,
It's really not.
yeah, indeed, indeed. So yeah, it's Julia. If you feel the need to talk, or if there's anything we can do, let us know.
Yeah.
And um, again, our sincerest condolences. Yeah, Dutch.
Yes.
I know it's a break and a cut here, but let's get back to the recommendation we've been talking about, and it is a Uden Chronicle. So, if
Yes.
I would say, because what you said, that it is an easy game, at least in the beginning. Again, there are
Yeah.
certain difficulty spikes. I definitely recommend that for newbies to the genre. If someone hasn't
Yeah.
played
Absolutely.
much
It's
JRPGs,
significantly
turn
easier
based.
than
Yeah,
the old JRPGs that we're talking about, like 9 and 7 and things, where they can just go poof straight up through the roof in terms of
exactly,
difficulty.
exactly. Um, so yeah, let us see what the community has been playing. Dustin Lambert is still rocking Diablo 4 and just hit level 67. Oh, sweet.
Nice.
Nice. I can't wait for the patch. I will be jumping in patch season 4 update. I mean, of course. Can't wait to jump back into Diablo 4. Dragon
Yeah.
Mr. Glass has been playing Dragon's Dogma. Great game, fantastic game actually. Ghost Fixer is playing The Force Unleashed. Ooh, nice.
Old
Going
school.
old school, yeah.
Yeah.
Waller Weasel has been playing Jedi Survivor and Brotato. Jargasm, Fallout 4, or Gears. Yeah, that's what I've been playing too. I'll talk about that in a second. Andrew Culinani is playing Kingdom Come Deliverance. Very good, very good. Ghost Fixer says, "Have a nice day." Is actually a real fun one. What else? I hope I didn't miss anyone.
You've got a couple of new ones at the bottom there.
Yeah, right. So here we go. Chargasm is playing Diablo 4 and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and some Fallout 4. Sweet. So yeah, I've been all over the place, it feels, which is fairly unusual for me. I play usually one game at a time, finish it, move on. So many games came out and stuff I wanted to play again.
Yeah.
Ziki is playing Dying Light 2. Love that game. I love that game.
Nice.
Good one. So I've been playing, of course, Dronty J has been playing Jedi Survivor and Black Ops Zombies. Yeah, Jedi Survivor is so good. So underrated.
Yep.
So yeah, I bought.
Apart from the ending, I'll tell when people get to the ending, I still want to hear their thoughts. The ending
I
bugged
disagree
me.
there. Was it the best ending ever? Probably not, but
It was mainly because it felt like it was just the end. I expected a better ending. I did not expect that to be the ending.
I was absolutely fine with that ending, honestly.
I just thought it was just too short. I thought it was just getting in like at that last, like I would say the last maybe 5 hours of the game, it started to really pick up, and there was a lot of big things starting to happen in those last 5 hours, and then it gets to that section at the end, and then it ends, and I'm like,
and then it ends.
No, but it's just started to really get good.
Yeah, but it is a trilogy. It isn't finished. I mean, yeah, it's not per se a cliffhanger. It's just they leave a lot of stuff open for the next one. So yeah, man, I bought No Rest for the Wicked in early access. I finished that actually. Well, at least the content that they have available. Yeah, it's not the whole game. It's basically Act 1, and then they have one of the end game activities in there, which is a crucible where you like fight like basically hordes of enemies, until you die and get some sweet loot. But yeah, I've mixed feelings about No Rest for the Wicked. And I know it's in early access, and probably a lot of the things will change towards its full release. And they've been fairly good at updating the game. Like every week, they have 2 major updates with significant changes. I mean, it is a Souls-like game. Yeah, it's maybe a little bit more forgiving than a Souls-like, since you don't lose XP when you die.
Yeah.
But besides that, it is a Souls-like game. It heavily relies on dodging, parrying. It's not a hack and slash. I know everyone, when you see that game, you think it might be, because it looks like a beautiful Diablo game, you know?
Yeah.
And that's not it. You have to dodge, you have to parry, you have to... it's brutally difficult. Be prepared to die a lot, and I mean really a lot. And at certain points, it feels unnecessarily hard and sometimes unfair. I don't have a problem with hard or challenging games, but when you make a very challenging and difficult game, you have to make sure that every time you die, it feels like it was your mistake. That you know, okay, I didn't dodge properly, I didn't parry properly, I didn't jump properly, whatever, yeah? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you die a lot of times in No Rest for the Wicked and have no idea what you could have done to avoid that. And that's when these challenging games become frustrating. And that's kind of what No Rest for the Wicked is right now. But then on the other side, they do a lot of things very well. It's a beautiful world that really invites you to discover it, and you have like around every corner that feeling of, oh, I bet this cave, nobody has found that yet, you know. This kind of feeling. And you find, I feel like the loot progression is very well. It's not like you get like in a Diablo, you fight 1,000 enemies and you get 2,000 items of loot. Yeah. It's like not that. So it feels meaningful when you find loot and you feel rewarded by that, and and you make good progression. And so there's and the story is actually good. So far, what I can tell, it does a lot of things well, but then there are other things that, So I'm torn here, you know, with No Rest for the Wicked. But now I'm just waiting for new content because I've played everything that the early access has to offer so far. Then, of course, we already talked about Ayuden Chronicles. Played that. I'm still playing Fallout 4. The itch got me after the TV series, and then thinking about the upcoming Xbox showcase and all the rumors about Gears, I got the Gears itch again, and so I decided to do another playthrough of the Gears Hivebuster DLC. And I'm almost done with that already because it's fairly short, Can finish that
5
in
hours,
4 or 5 hours, something like that, and then 3+ hours in. So, but I'm having blast, and I totally forgot how beautiful that game is. Honestly, it's still like one of the best looking games. Runs beautiful at 60 FPS, crispy, sharp graphics, beautiful effects. It's phenomenal, and I'm just enjoying Gears. I can't wait for Gears 6, and I hope it's gonna be at the showcase. So that was basically what I've been playing, man.
Nice.
So let us see. Oh, people in the chat actually voted for No Rest for the Wicked, which is great.
To commemorate the game that we will no longer get a sequel for, I've put Hi-Fi Rush on as my gameplay today. So.
Good stuff. Okay, I could have put that also as a vote. Maybe I'll put some Hi-Fi Rush on later. So Dutch, let us start with some actual topics. And I just want to briefly talk to you before we get into all the studio closing things and so on. Because since we didn't have a podcast last week, I wanted to briefly talk to you about the announced Starfield update that is coming. Starfield is getting, actually next week, a big update. And finally, we can play it on console at 60. It will also get, by the way, a 40 FPS mode for the 120 Hz screens. So, Dutch, what do you think about this update? Because I have a couple of things to say on this, but let me hear your thoughts.
You know, I'm gonna say it immediately because I think people are conflating two things differently. What a developer has as their creative vision in the way that they want it to be played doesn't mean that the game can't be played at a higher frame rate or higher resolution. If they say it's their creative vision for it to be played at a lower frame rate because it's a little bit more cinematic, that's still a creative vision. If they add 60 frames or not afterwards, if they add 120 frames afterwards, makes no difference. It was still their creative vision to have it as 30 being the operative mode for them and what they have as the operative mode.
Listen, this creative vision bullshit is like the biggest bullshit. Everyone tells us when they release a 30 FPS game. It's like,
no, I think it's
really the biggest bullshit, because if it is a creative vision, you would limit it on PC. And each and every one of those games where the developers talk about, oh, it's our creative vision to be more cinematic and have like the filmic effect. Yeah, every single one of those games runs at 60 or above on PC. And so it has nothing. Because it can. But so it has nothing to do with a creative vision. You know what a creative vision is? Is the film bars. What are they called in Hellblade? That's a creative vision. Yeah, because that is there in every version of the game. So that's a creative choice to do that. Yeah. Whether you like it or not is a different thing, but that's a creative vision.
Hellblade more than Starfield in this instance. I still believe Hellblade will get a 60 frames mode after the fact, but I do believe for the purposes of graphical fidelity, I think it will. I think for the purposes of graphical fidelity, the lighting techniques that they've used, the ray tracing techniques that they've used, and the way that they've built that game specifically to go more around the visual aspect and the audio and the kind of everything all encompassing, is why they focused specifically on a 30 frames and nothing else at launch. I think it will get a 60 frame version, but I think they'll be trying to figure out how to do that whilst kind of really drumming down on things and not spoiling it too much. And I think that's a harder thing to do than Starfield, for instance, which I think is more along the lines of a bullshit maneuver. But I think the overall creative vision thing, I think, don't always doubt developers, because in some instances, creative vision is a part of it. Whether or not it plays at 60 or not on PC is irrelevant, because people with the highest specs possible will be able to run Hellblade on PC full tilt on a 4090 at 60 frames. They will be, but those guys have got those guys have got like £4,000 PCs. Like, so there's a reason it runs that well. But on consoles, it is limited, and the reason it's limited is because specs aren't right enough for it to run that way. So they've chosen, okay, we're going to focus on making this look as pretty as it can be and have it a locked 30 over doing a 60 and losing that fidelity.
Yeah.
Starfield, not so much, because Starfield, I don't think, would have lost anything by doing 60. And when this patch rolls out, we'll see that. I don't think the mode will really change dramatically.
I mean, we've talked about it many times that some of these performance modes, when you look at Avatar or Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, even though they're there, they are basically unplayable because the resolution drop is too big and everything looks like a blurry mess. But I'm just saying that this PR speech about it's an artistic choice to do 30 FPS is bullshit.
Typical Todd.
That's the
typical
bullshit.
Todd.
And I think
it just works, remember.
Yeah. So coming back to Starfield 60 FPS, I mean, listen, I'm always pro updating your game, but I still feel like this should have been there at launch. I just feel that way because I have the Rock Alley and it runs at 60 on that thing, And yes, I have to lower a little bit the settings. I don't even have to dial down the resolution. I just dial down the settings and the game still looks good. Yeah, but
but the good thing about the handhelds, and this is the one thing I love about the handhelds, though, is that, and PC, to be frank, resolution's never been something that people are bothered about on PC or on handheld. It's always 1080 or 1440. No one really wants to push 4K on PC. No one actually really wants to do that because people are more concerned about performance. And games look really crispy on PC when it's 1080p or 1440 because you can really dial up everything else and just keep the resolution down. And this is what we've been saying about developers for a long time. Like, I don't understand why they're focused so much on 4K on console.
Yeah.
Like, why? It makes no difference. 1440p is more than sufficient. It's more than sufficient.
And then simply
if the graphics are there and it looks pretty, it'll look absolutely fine at 1440. It doesn't need to be 4K. It's a waste.
That's the thing. And so what I do appreciate is the 40 FPS mode, because I feel like that should be like a sweet spot for a lot of console games. Because we don't have to kid ourselves. The consoles obviously are limited in power. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, both PlayStation and Xbox are $500-600 consoles, $550 now. At the end, the power is limited, and I feel like especially people on a 120 hertz screen get a lot out of 40 FPS. It plays a lot smoother than 30. Yes, of course, 60 is better. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
but it is definitely a night and day difference in the terms of how the game feels, whilst not having to deal with too many hits in terms of detailed lighting and resolution, So I appreciate Starfield getting one of those modes. And then of course city maps are coming, which is great. So I'm looking forward to it. I still play Starfield. I actually play it a lot on the Alley. It's kind of like my Alley game, But I'm looking forward to that. So
nice.
It's good. It's coming. Again, think.
Are you going to I mean, you've already got it installed on your alley, so you'll not even notice the next update apart from city maps and vehicles.
Yeah.
Outside of that, if it was on console and you only played it on console, would this update be enough for you to jump back into it, or would you be waiting for Shattered Space?
Absolutely. I'm also playing occasionally on console. Still, I play it a little bit more on the alley, but I still have it installed. I jump in occasionally. I do enjoy me some Starfield, so I'll definitely jump back in on console with that update. So,
see, I'm not.
You're waiting for Shattered Space.
Shattered Space, but also it's just far too much coming out like this month and the month after and the month after. I need to catch up.
What's coming out besides Hellblade?
We've got Hellblade at the end of the month. We've got a few more indie games that I'm looking forward to playing that are coming out. So there's a lot of indie games that I want to try and catch up on before we start to see the big stuff drop at the end of the year. So for me, it's a focus on Hellblade and then a load of indie drops. We've also got Hypercharge Unbox. Congratulations to Team Cherry for getting that sorted and getting that on the console. That's 31st. We'll be doing a giveaway for 2 copies of Hypercharge on the channel the week of its release. So keep an eye out for that. So you can have a chance to win a code for and bless him, Joe offered to give us a bunch of keys for the game to give away. And I said, no, because we want to support indie developers. I'd rather buy them and give them out that way as opposed to taking keys off you. He's kindly going to give me a key so I can play it and review it and whatnot for Xbox, and I'll do that. But I'd rather buy a few copies and actually support the studio that way. So that's what we're going to do.
Awesome. All right, Dutch. Let us dive into the big news of the week. Obviously, it's been the talking point in town for ever since the news dropped, like when was it, 2 days ago? And that is that Xbox is closing down studios. 4 studios are going to be closed down: Arcane Studio Austin, Tango Gameworks, Alpha Dog, and Roundhouse Games. And we had a lot of aftermath from that. Multiple people from the industry came out, spoke about it. Like Mike Ibarra, I was actually surprised, came out, kind of defended Phil Spencer. Then we had the Arcane boss coming out saying it was an effing gut stab. Different reactions to that, and of course the community, for the most part, still seen a few people defending it, were devastated, sad for the developers that are affected. And I feel like it's not just because people got laid off, because as weird as it may sound, we get it all the time. Earlier this week, Take-Two announced another wave of layoffs, and EA has laid off people, Sony has laid off people. It was kind of the way how they did it. The studios affected. Tango with Hi-Fi Rush. Arcane didn't have the biggest hit with Redfall, obviously. We talked about that. It's no secret. I didn't enjoy the game, but they've developed great games in the past. Games like Prey, which is phenomenal. They are no more. And then, of course, a couple of other things happen. We'll get to that. But first, Dutch, let me hear your thoughts. What do you think about this Xbox shutting down another 4 studios after laying off already earlier this year 1,900 people?
It's a bit of a mad one. It's kind of perplexing as well, to be fair. For multiple reasons. I want to preface it a little bit. We've been having a lot of kind of back and forths in the DMs about this as well, because we try to not speak too much of it publicly, because we want to kind of let it digest, get as much factual information about it as possible before we talk about it fully, but also talk about it between ourselves and kind of get a grip of it. And there's been a lot of rumors and things coming out afterwards that aren't really grounded in fact at the moment about kind of certain teams building certain games and then they will close down or certain so on and so forth. And none of it's really been established as fact yet, and it's more just rumor to kind of add to the discussion. But myself, you, and a couple of others work for and have worked for huge multinationals. We've worked for big corpos. We still work for big corpos, so we kind of understand the workings of these guys and how things come down, and the defense of certain management and things like that, I think is not required at this stage. It's simply not. When you've worked for a large multinational corporation, you kind of understand why it's pointless to defend it.
Yeah.
On that note, the thing that perplexed me the most wasn't so much Arcane, Austin. Redfall tanked hard. They were still working on a DLC, but let's face it, if the game's already dead and buried, the time it took to make this DLC, it was significantly too long. Like, the game came out ages ago and it still hasn't had its first bit of DLC. It's far too long for a company to do that, in all honesty. So if you did want to try and revive Redfall after its massacre debut, the time to release DLC was in the first 3 to 6 months, and try and win back some of that with the 60 frames patch and new content. But they didn't do that, and the game just absolutely flopped beyond belief. Then you have to have a look at just the history of Arcane Austin and their releases over their lifespan, even before they went into Xbox. As much as we enjoyed Prey and Dishonored, etc., and they might have been critically acclaimed in terms of sales numbers, those games weren't big sales hitters. They weren't these big pipeline games that were going to make you fortunes. So Arcane Austin was one where it's really shitty for the team. It's not nice to see, but it's somewhat understandable from a finance perspective. When you talk about Roundhouse, they were more of a support studio, and when Xbox are looking at cutting costs, support studios are probably one of the first that are going to go. Then you look at the mobile developer, Alpha Dog. They, again, it's mobile. They were all gung ho on creating mobile experiences and getting into the mobile side and things like that. And I think now they've got King on part. They probably think we don't require Alpha Dog anymore. We have King.
Yeah, see, but I feel like
the one that's a sticking point for me, the one that makes literally zero sense to me, is Tango. It makes absolutely no sense. They've just released the best game you released last year in Hi-Fi Rush, critically acclaimed. Literally last month won another BAFTA. It was one of the most unique experiences that Xbox have released in recent times. Everybody loved it. It did really well. It was pitching for a sequel. It's literally just released on PlayStation 5. So they've done all that hard work. They are the only in-house Japanese studio that Microsoft own. The only one.
Yeah.
Japanese-based as well. Not just a Japanese studio, but Japanese-based studio with a lot of very talented Japanese developers. They have been mourning for years and years and years about not being able to break into the Japanese thing and getting more Japanese developers on board. And even last month, Aaron Greenberg was in Japan trying to get more titles for Xbox from Japan. Why on earth, when you're struggling to break into the Japanese market, would you get rid of a studio that would win you favor in that market? In some instances, for big business, you have to take a hit in order to establish a foothold. They have now no foothold in Japan with Tango shutting down. It makes no sense from both a logical point of view or a tactical point of view from trying to get yourself established in a certain region. It makes no sense. You take the financial hit on a singular studio in order to make sure you have that foothold. Just like any other big corporation, some corporations worldwide, big ones, will literally open branches in the middle of absolutely nowhere, knowing full well that they will not make a profit, just because they need to make sure they have a foothold in that region.
In there, yeah.
They have to have something. That's how you do things. Like, I can understand certain studios not having it, but that does make no sense. Tango makes no sense. I don't get it.
Yeah. I totally agree. See, there are so many things about this entire thing. I feel like one big part is a lot of the messaging that they have been doing in recent years is totally contradicting this move. And I do totally agree with what you said about Tango. But then you also look at Arcane, and even an Alpha Dog or Roundhouse being support studios are doing super smaller games. A lot of what Xbox has been, and especially Phil has said that multiple times. Yeah, he doesn't want to interfere in creative visions. He believes in passion projects, which basically Hi-Fi Rush was. Yeah, wasn't the main project of the studio.
Yeah.
That Game Pass allows for bigger and smaller games to get in there, yeah, and to let developers do what they kind of want, and now they come out with this move and basically totally contradict what they said for so long. Because with the email that I think IGN were the first that published it, then a couple of others released the same one, from Matt Booty, yeah, saying, yeah, we want to focus now more on the big sellers and everything, and apparently, according, yeah, so it's. And I'll get to his statement in that got leaked from The Verge earlier today in a second. But this is like, yeah, we heard something like that from Double Fine, for instance, when they said, yeah, without the support of Xbox, we wouldn't have been able to put like boss fights in Psychonauts and stuff like that, where we thought, okay, Xbox is here to buy studios. They bought a lot of studios, bigger and smaller, and a lot of smaller ones, actually. When you think about the first shopping spree in 2018, Ninja Theory, Double Fine, Undead Labs, all Compulsion, all those smaller studios, and we all had the feeling like, cool, yeah, they are trying to grow them, develop them, making them into what they want to be, and we will have like bigger games, smaller games coming now, and everything, and we get that diversity in there. And now it feels like, okay, listen, we are doing what EA and Ubisoft and Sony has been doing 10 years ago. Yeah, ditch the support of the passion project. Focus on the big AAA blockbuster titles. And I feel like this is one big part of this entire discussion and about the outrage, besides everyone, of course, having sentiment for the people that actually lost their job, and I hope they will land quickly on their feet. But when you look at this messaging from Xbox, it just doesn't fit together, and it makes them unbelievable, not trustworthy. Obviously, they say one thing, do the other thing. Yeah, because, like you said, if you look at the success of a Hi-Fi Rush, it was a passion project, smallest project, dropped without any marketing. It was a surprise drop into Game Pass in January last year. Everyone loved it for such a smaller title and a Game Pass only title. Yeah. it was super successful, very well critically received. Everyone loved it. But that's obviously not enough for Xbox. Then it brought up the next big discussion, and brings up the next big discussion. In a world where Game Pass exists, what are the metrics to be considered a success? Aaron Greenberg came out a couple of weeks after Hi-Fi Rush released and said, it's doing amazing. Yeah, it's hitting every metric we have for to consider a game a success in Game Pass. It hits every metric. But apparently that's not enough, you know? So, of course, people ask the question, and it's out there. What makes a game in Game Pass a success? Yeah? Obviously, sales are not going to be the same, like if you wouldn't drop a game day and date in Game Pass, obviously. I bet Starfield didn't have the sales numbers it would have had if it wouldn't have launched day one in Game Pass. Yeah? It got played by a lot of people. Definitely. No doubt. Yeah. It was the biggest Bethesda launch ever. More people than ever played it. But did they sell enough? And obviously Microsoft must know that. Yeah. If you offer that service, tons of people will play it through that service and not buy the game. So what is the metric for success? And which studio is safe now? Yeah. Is a Double Fine safe? Is an Undead Lab safe? Is a Compulsion safe? What are the metrics for South of Midnight? South of Midnight's not gonna be a big major AAA blockbuster banger title, you know? It's not what South of Midnight is going to be, is it? What does it need to do for Xbox to be a success?
This is the worry for these teams, isn't it? It's the worry for these guys making these niche things that probably won't hit huge metrics. Like, where's you are then stemming creativity because you're going to be putting unrealistic expectations on titles just because, okay, this needs to hit mega numbers. Like, not every game is going to hit mega numbers. Not every game is going to do it. Returnal didn't. Returnal did absolutely terrible, but that's one of their most like acclaimed games from last year on PlayStation 5. It only did like 1 million or 2 million or something like that.
Which is fine since they all sold those games. It didn't come in a service. So,
but it's what the metric here is, and the problem is Microsoft have been saying, "Oh, it doesn't matter about this because it's going into Game Pass and blah 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 blah." So that's your prerogative, though. That's not the studio's prerogative. Like, if your prerogative is to put it into Game Pass, and it doesn't hit a sales metric, that's not the studio's fault for not hitting that sales metric. You've put that into Game Pass. It was your company's directive to put games into Game Pass day one. So that was your choice. If it's hit all of the Game Pass metrics, then therefore they, as a studio, have been successful on your metric.
Exactly. But that's what I think where a lot of people. And I put out a few tweets with a couple of thoughts on this the other day, and I've seen a lot of responses with a similar sentiment, you know. Of course, a lot of people are now worried about Hellblade.
Yeah.
Hellblade 2, one of my most anticipated games. I have zero doubt it will be an awesome game in itself.
Yeah.
And I have no doubt it will be played by a lot of people. Will it sell much? I doubt it. I honestly doubt it, because most people will play it through Game Pass. Yeah, it will sell definitely a little bit on Steam, because on PC a lot of people rather buy the game on Steam than subscribe to Game Pass.
I mean, I'll be buying it myself because I own Hellblade 1 on PlayStation. I own it on Switch.
Yeah.
I own it on Xbox. Like, I've bought it 3 times.
Yeah.
I think I own it on PC as well, though I haven't played it on PC. I've just bought it because I like the game and I wanted to play it.
Yeah.
I still haven't got around to it. But I finished it 100% on Xbox. I intended to do that on PlayStation before release, and I might squeeze it in because it's not super long. But I'll be supporting it, but people are right. They're right to be concerned because Microsoft have set their own internal metrics, and now they're changing the game and saying, "Oh well, the sales metrics weren't great." Well, that wasn't your prerogative.
Yeah,
your prerogative was never sales metrics for these studios. It was always how good is it doing in Game Pass, how many player engagement numbers, and blah blah blah. So when people are defending, when people are defending the corporation or defending the management, at this point you cannot defend the management because shit falls downhill. Satya would have called the cuts and said you need to slim down. He doesn't care how, he doesn't care what. Phil, slim down. We're going to cut some fat. Get it done. No problem. Phil goes to his management and says, right, we need to weigh up who's performing, who isn't performing, who's likely to perform, who's got some big stuff in the pipeline, who hasn't.
We have overlays now that we have multiple marketing teams, multiple publishing arms, multiple.
We need to cut the fat. So let's have a look at the studios we've got in here, and we're gonna make these decisions, and we're gonna make these cuts. And that's ultimately how it's come down. It's the management's decision. Phil Spencer, Matt Booty, Sarah Bond, you name it, and Satya Nadella, all of those are to blame for where it is.
Yeah,
that's the ultimate be-all and end-all.
And it's
their prerogative. It was Phil's initial prerogative for the Game Pass thing. He convinced Satya, like he did with the console, to invest heavily in a certain thing. For us, the gamers, it's obviously worthwhile because we're getting to play games at no additional cost and just pay a nice sub fee. But for the company, it's clearly not achieving the numbers it needs to hit. 30 million subs, great. It's making an okay amount, but
they're not growing.
It's not growing. It's stagnant.
And here is where I have the problem. And I have said this on the podcast multiple times over the last, I want to say at least 2 years now. I'm not surprised they're not growing. Why would they grow? When you look at what Xbox has done this generation, and honestly, well past into the last generation, there is really no big reason to doubt that they will not grow. They launched the console without any games. They didn't deliver on the power narrative. World's most powerful console, and stuff. And a lot of games, especially the ones where the media has to focus on, blockbuster games, actually ran better on the PlayStation. It took them almost a year, 10 months to release the first exclusive game, and it was surprisingly Forza again, which was is what carried them throughout the entire Xbox One generation. Forza Horizon 5 was awesome, but is it something that will grow your console? Then they launched Halo, and it is okay, but then we all remember what they did with Halo and the press it got because of how they handled the multiplayer and ongoing things. And then they had the worst period any major publisher ever had, with almost 18 months of nothing. No major releases, yes, some smaller passion projects like a Pentiment and things, which is not going to move the needle. Nobody is Grounded. I enjoyed Grounded a lot, and Pentiment got great reviews, but those are not even close to subscription movers or console movers. So why would they grow? They announced all these games, they didn't release them, and they launched 18 months of nothing to bring out Redfall, which was a debacle. And yes, then they had almost 3 years into the generation, they brought out finally Starfield. Forza Motorsport kind of came and went, and not moving consoles, obviously. Why would it? You have Gran Turismo on the other console. It's just another sim racer. It's not a console mover. So Starfield feels like 3.5 years now, today, into the generation, was probably the only one that could have been considered a console mover, and that's just not enough. So I don't see that's the one thing. I know that Xbox has no games narrative is gonna change now over the next year. It's gonna change. But even that is not enough. You have to be consistent with that for a few years in order for people to realize, okay,
and not
it's
just
worth
consistent,
it.
Boxy, but it's clear to them they now want to have critically acclaimed games. They want
critically
the trophy.
acclaimed. Absolutely. They and that's what they need. When you want to
They do need it, but
it's
I think
that's also what I have.
Yeah,
and
the
that's
strategy doesn't go towards it, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, and see, and so I'm not surprised they are not growing. Why would they? You have your fan base, and you have the Xbox fans that care for Forza and that care for Halo, and and that's basically and that care for Game Pass, and you have those, and that market is now saturated. If you want to grow and do the sales numbers of consoles and install base that a PlayStation has, and if you want to grow your subscription numbers of Game Pass on PC, you kind of have to have incentives. And the one thing that is unique about Game Pass is the day and date drops. PS Plus is also a good subscription service. It just doesn't have day and date. That's the one big differentiator. And that makes it an awesome value. But the problem is they didn't have any games like that came day and date. Yeah, outside of a few ones. I know Starfield and Forza and Halo a few years back, but it's just not enough. This is not enough to grow the subscription service. If you look at a Netflix, there's no chance that Netflix is not gonna come out with a new TV show or movie for 18 months. Just not gonna happen.
They've got literally 100. Yeah.
And that's the one big thing. And that's also my big issue when I hear Xbox, Sarah Bond and Matt Booty and Sarah Bond talk about, console isn't growing. It's not really true. Console isn't growing for you. There's no reason why Xbox couldn't have 140 million sales like the Switch has if they would have the content and the value proposition. But so far they didn't. They simply didn't. And that's the one big thing. And the other thing is the marketing. It's like, even if you have the best service in the world, and even if you have the best games in the world, and nobody knows they exist, you will not sell them. You will not sell subscriptions. You will not sell consoles. And that's the other thing. If I've talked to you about this so many times. I know it might be different for a lot of people in the US, but across Europe, Xbox is irrelevant. People don't even know that the brand exists. I have so many coworkers and friends that don't know what an Xbox is. Everyone knows what a PlayStation is. But it's the same when it comes to
Game Pass.
Everyone knows what a PlayStation is.
But nobody knows what Game Pass is?
Nobody knows what Game Pass is. Not even people that own an Xbox sometimes. Baffled, If you're not invested...
They say the name, but they don't know what it means. It's not advertised properly. Never has been.
This is... So... And if you combine those two factors together, simply not delivering for the first 3.5 years into this generation, there is no arguing Xbox didn't deliver. There's too few games. Yes, they had I love Starfield, my game of the year last year, but this is not enough to have one major system seller in 3.5 years. Because the two Forza games are not system sellers. It's just another racer. It's a good racer. It's a racer. You have tons of racing games out there. That's not what's gonna sell you subscriptions. And in between those major releases in Game Pass, you can argue all day long. The value that is offered is good for hardcore fans. Gamers like us, probably everyone who listens to this podcast and the two of us and the hardcore gamers, we get a lot of... I'm loving Ayuden Chronicles right now. Loving it. Great. But this is not even close to be an interesting game for the mass market. And so when you look at what they released, Jedi Survivor came into Game Pass. Yeah, good. But that game was almost a year old by the time it came in there, and nobody knows about this because there's no advertisement. If you have a TV ad, play Jedi Survivor for free with Game Pass. Like, let people know. And this is this combination of, is Game Pass without this very unique thing of day and date enough? And it didn't matter whether Game Pass had day and date over the last couple of years because they didn't have any games that came day and date. That's just a fact. And so I see no doubt that they are not growing. It's so obvious to me why they are not growing.
The Xbox's Achilles heel always has, we mentioned this so many times. The biggest Achilles heels is two things, strictly two things. Piss poor messaging that's either always fucking lies or incorrect, or they say one thing and do another, or they just don't message out at all. So there's piss poor messaging, and that's always been the same. Second one is just a lack of actual marketing. Like, they are absolutely inept at marketing, but this is Microsoft we're talking about. This is a company that has always been inept at marketing. Microsoft have never marketed things properly. Never have, never will.
Yeah.
You can't, if you go and speak to somebody about a Surface Pro or Surface tablet or anything, nobody fucking knows what a Surface is. If you speak to a normal person, you speak to an anybody, Apple Mac. Yes, everybody knows what Apple Mac is. You know what an iPhone is? Yes, everyone knows that. Do you know what an iPod is? Yes, you know what that is. Because it's advertised to death. Everybody knows what a Mac is. Everybody knows what an Apple is. Microsoft have never marketed anything correctly. They've never done it. Never done it right.
I totally agree. Look at Hellblade. Come on. That game comes out in less than 2 weeks, and there's absolutely nothing out. They put a great Twitter post out. I commented under Jess Corden. It's sweet. Something like, it makes you think, it's deep, it's well, just like Hellblade 2, coming May 21st. Bam. And one picture we've seen for years now. Like, and then the best thing is about this, Aaron Greenberg coming out. Oh yeah, we had the review of our biggest marketing a big marketing campaign. For this, that, and that, and then and we launched a global marketing campaign with everything. And if a marketing department needs to come out and tell you that they are doing their job, that tells you something about the state of the marketing, honestly. Like, if that's the biggest talking point of people, that, hey, he tweeted, we are doing marketing, but nobody sees anything. And, like, literally, if a marketing department needs to tell you, we are doing our job, you just don't see it. It's like, just tells you in what state marketing is for Xbox. And I really don't get it, because Hellblade 2, yes, might not have that super duper blockbuster shine, like, I don't know, Spider-Man or something, but just because it has those visuals and is on this technical fidelity, that alone is perfect to market. If you market that, and this is what people wanted for many years. People are saturated with these live service games. People, like Suicide Squad. They took a $200 million loss this in the first quarter. Warner Brothers just confirmed the other day when they had their earnings report. They lost $200 million on that game because nobody wants those service games anymore. But what have people been asking for with Xbox? Third-person, over-the-shoulder, cinematic action, single-player games, and now they have that. They have that. They have Avowed coming. They have Indie coming this year. They have Stalker coming this year. Granted, not a first party, but second party. But still, you know what I mean. They have this game and a Hellblade alone. Of course, not a console mover, but this is the start of what can move consoles. If you have such a game every 3 months, that's when you move subscriptions. That's when you start to move consoles. If you have that constantly for a certain amount of time, that people can know, okay, we can rely on Xbox to bring out and support Game Pass in the way that they promise us by getting us these blockbuster games day and date. Yeah. And so I feel sorry for Ninja Theory, honestly, a little bit, because they poured so much passion in that game and are going to deliver a technical masterpiece. I can't speak about the gameplay, but I really enjoyed the first one, so I have no doubt I'm going to enjoy this one. But from a technical point alone, this game is perfect for marketing. Like, yeah. I don't get
Absolutely.
it, man. I don't
the showpiece,
get it.
like especially you put just a little combat sequence like trailer into cinemas, for instance, right before an action film, and you show her like slashing people in blood and guts and things right before an action film, and then Hellblade coming May 31st, and then
with those
play
kind
day
of
one
visuals.
on Game Pass, whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, with those kind of visuals.
With those kind of visuals.
You would think it was a film, first of all. You wouldn't think it was that. You would think, what is this? This looks really gory. What's going on here?
Yeah.
And then it's a game. It's a game? Fucking hell, I want to play that.
Exactly. So, yes, if they only would release Hellblade, of course, it's not like the super duper console mover. Yeah. And Indiana Jones might do that trick, honestly, because it has a certain IP behind it, and they are gonna mess that marketing up as well. So yeah, and then they ask themselves the hard question: why are we not growing? Why aren't we growing? Yeah. And then they start to move. And now where they are at this brink, at this point in time where they have finally that pipeline, yeah. I mean, it took them way too long. They bought all those studios back in 2018, and now we're sitting here in 2024 in May and are just beginning to see the outcome of those investments. But that's just what it is, yeah. 6 years development cycles. 6+ years, yeah. But now where they are at this point, to be able to provide Game Pass with a steady stream of quality games. If you would market it properly, sell actual consoles and subscriptions, and get a bigger install base on PC as well as on console, yeah. So why not use this? Earlier this year, they shot themselves in the foot with this marketing, with this messaging of, we are bringing our exclusive games to PlayStation. And I know it's only just 4 games, but everyone is now, okay, when is Hellblade coming to PlayStation? Yeah, they brought that on themselves. They shot themselves in the foot with that. I don't think that the sales numbers of those 4 games combined, and the little revenue that you generated through that will justify the brand damage that they took, yeah, with fans as well as the media, yeah. When you Google now what to get, an Xbox or a PlayStation, you will find all those articles written, whether they are bullshit or not, but that's what pops up. Oh yeah, Xbox games can be played on PlayStation. So the brand damage, okay, different discussion. And then just a few.
Pretty much the same. It's the same one because
it's a similar one, yeah. Yeah, it goes into marketing, messaging, and why are we not growing? Why are we not growing? Is the underlying problem? And because they are not growing, they are shutting down now the studios. And we're sitting here, and we will not see a Hi-Fi Rush 2, and we will not see a Prey 2 or an new Evil Within. We will probably not get another great mobile game like a Fallout Shelter, you know. That's just what it is. And we are sitting here and seeing how they reverse their own communication multiple times. And then they ask themselves, so why are people not trusting in our brand? Why do we lose our reputation? Why are people not investing in our ecosystem? Absolutely bonkers to me. Absolutely
Yeah.
bonkers. And now I look at this disclosure of these 4 studios. Yeah, you mentioned it earlier. Yes, business wise, they had to make cuts, and within Microsoft, there is now a lot more pressure on the Xbox division to actually generate revenue. Microsoft didn't pour $80 billion into ABK just to see like low growth numbers. Yeah, absolutely. That's, yeah, you can argue that through business all day long. What I do really have a problem with is the messaging, because we all were sitting here for years, and we have to ask ourselves now, honestly, if we were wrong. And saying, oh, how cool is it that Microsoft Xbox bought Double Fine and are helping them and supporting them? How cool would it be if they would buy this or that developer? Yeah, because then Xbox can save them and grow them. And how cool is it that we get games like a Pentiment, Grounded, Hi-Fi Rush, those passion projects? Yeah, how cool is that? Sony doesn't do that. EA doesn't do that anymore. Ubisoft doesn't do that anymore. Well, they kind of did a little bit with Prince of Persia earlier this year, but you know what I mean, yeah?
Yeah. I think, you know what it is? I don't understand when these big companies just close down games. Studios. I think first and foremost, before they even think about closing a studio down, they should be trying to think about who can we divest the studio to. Is there any suitable people that can take the studio on in order to save jobs?
Yeah.
We can no longer afford to have this studio on. You are a talented studio. You all deserve to be in work and make your games. And those games can probably end up being everywhere if you were part of another company, whether that be Embracer, well, obviously not now, whether it be Tencent, whether it be Sony, whether it be you name it. It makes no difference. If somebody's got the ability to take those studios on, they should always try and divest a studio first and foremost. And I feel like a lot of companies are too quick to close down studios and completely scrap the entire history of these companies before they close them down. And to me, it just feels it's a bit quick. It's all a bit quick. Like they just go, right, bye, see you later. Instead of just going, right, let's dive. This arm's not doing so well. Let's divest it. We'll find a suitable purchaser or buyer for this particular studio. We don't need much for it. We'll just take it off our hands, whatever, and go from there. They're obviously not retaining the IP unless that's part of the reason why they're closing them down. Is they're going, right, well, the studios no longer exist, but we retain the IP.
Yeah. Yeah, they still have the IP. Yeah, it's not that they couldn't hand Hi-Fi Rush to some other studio. But obviously in the messaging from Matt Booty, yeah, we want to focus on the big ones. And this is the ridiculous part, the most ridiculous part about it. They had a town hall, and The Verge, I think it was The Verge who leaked it first, posted an article about Matt Booty talking to the teams and saying, well, what we need is smaller games that are critically high acclaimed and award-winning. And you just had that with Hi-Fi, and you shut down the studio. It's like the left and right hand really doesn't know what they are doing. Yeah, doing the one thing, saying the other thing, and then you wonder that you actually lose the trust of the community. And this is the weird thing, and this is why it feels so different this time. So very different. It was the same with the debate we had earlier this year when the exclusives came to PlayStation, and it's the same now. With these moves that Xbox has been doing this year, it feels different than with all the other fuck-ups that they had over the years. Because, let's face it, Xbox has shot themselves in the foot so many times over the years. I've been an Xbox fan from the OG days, and
Yeah.
it's the one thing where they always excelled at shooting themselves in the foot. But through all the trouble and all the Xbox One reveal, yeah, with TV, um, and then shutting down studios, not having games throughout the mid part of the generation, and everything, it is the one thing where Xbox always was good at, through all the bad days, is keeping the community together. They've always been community centric, catering to the fans, and that's what got them through all those years. And this is what feels so different this time.
Yeah.
They lose the trust of the hardcore community, the hardcore fans that stood by them for 20 plus years through thick and thin. And this is why it feels so different. When I look in my little bubble that I have, yeah, and I love my community, but of course it is probably not representative of the entire worldwide gaming market. Yeah, but I still think I do have a very diverse community from people. We have here people in the chat from all over the world. Earlier in the chat, someone was here from Haiti. We have people. Actually, we are many listeners on Spotify in South Africa. We have a great community from all over the world, and it's what I always love about doing this. So
yeah,
and I look at this, and it divides they divide the community so much. There are some diehard fans having absolute meltdowns on the socials. I'm not talking about those, but people that have been there and Xbox fans from day one, they lose trust in the brand. Others blaming them for being doom and gloom, and you know what I mean. And they are. And this is what Xbox really screwed up this time, with all this messaging and the confusion and everything. The media always hated Xbox. They've never been the biggest fans, because it was always a good clickbait to have an article written about Xbox is doing this or that wrong. Yeah. So, but the community wasn't, and that's why it feels so different this time. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, not only that as well. It's a good comment in the chat there by Stephen. He's saying it's not only the community where the trust is fallen, but the devs also must be feeling very unsure right now.
I agree.
And he's right. Like, if you're seeing all of this happening inside of the company now, are you going to bed at night as a developer and thinking, even if we do well, where's the guarantee that we'll actually be kept on? Where's the guarantee we're going to have a job in the next couple of months? You're going to have that cost. It's going to be sitting over your head.
Earlier today, I've seen a tweet from a developer from Blizzard, the guy who made Lilith. Yeah, he had that in his bio. I created Lilith, and he was like, "Yeah, I was waking up with a nightmare, where our studio has been shuttered now." And I totally agree with you. And I see the Hago in the chat. Shout out to you. And he says, maybe we are all just too much invested. Definitely. We had earlier, at the beginning of the show.
Yeah. We're covering the topic.
What we do.
Honestly,
but on the other side, I'm always saying, I can't speak for everyone, but definitely I do have a life outside of gaming. But yeah, I have a loving family, a loving wife. Yeah. I have kids. I have friends. That's why we missed the podcast last week. Yeah. And I do have a job that I enjoy. I do have a life outside of gaming, but gaming is my hobby number one. There's no doubt. And that's why I'm invested in gaming. I love the hobby. I love gaming. Yeah. I love also doing this here. Doing the podcasts and being active on social and talking about gaming, because this is what gives me the way out of the harsh reality that is real life. Yeah.
I mean, I want to add another
And so
thing to it,
yes,
though,
I'm
that,
invested in gaming. Otherwise, I
outside of
wouldn't.
that, yeah, I was
Huh?
going to say outside of that though, we're not invested at the point where we turn things off and we're sitting here worrying at night and making huge, ridiculous rants and having mental breakdowns on Twitter. That is insane. Like we're not that in depth with it. Like
Yeah.
we love gaming. Gaming's our favorite hobby, but like Boxy, we have a gaming PC, we have an Xbox, we have a Switch, we have a PlayStation, we have handhelds, we've got
Yeah.
we game on everything. So all we want to see is these major players competing, and I don't mean just competing with games. I just mean in general doing things correctly, actually trying to compete with each other in the right way instead of just making absolute nonsense up, because a lot of them just talk nonsense. And it's just getting to the bottom of that nonsense, having a factual and honest discussion about the nonsense that's going on,
Absolutely.
and
And I
making
would
sure that we cover that.
exactly. And since I am spending a lot of time gaming because this is my
Yeah.
recreational activity of choice, yeah, and also doing content here on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts and everywhere. Um, that's why I am invested, and I am also I spend a lot of money in gaming. Yeah, it's just a fact, and so I want to be treated well as a customer, and I want to see the hobby that I love to be in a healthy place.
But we said this before when people were going, oh, Xbox is going to fail, Xbox is going to shut down, and blah blah blah. And you think it's not. If you're a fan of PlayStation or a fan of Nintendo or a fan of gaming in general, that's not something you want to happen anyway.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of gaming, you don't want a major player to not exist. You don't, because it doesn't bring competitiveness in the space. It
That's
means
exactly the thing.
the other guys, Sony and Nintendo, have less reason to be competitive when one player is gone. Sony, you've got less reason to do things in order to gain your trust or gain your money.
Yeah.
They've got less reason to do so because, oh, well, Xbox isn't there anymore, so we can just do what we like. Subscription prices are going through the roof.
And that's my concern about this. And I mentioned that a couple of weeks ago when we talked about Xbox going third party, I don't want that to happen. I want a strong competitor for PlayStation because I'm not just an Xbox customer. I'm also a PlayStation customer. And I want to be, and I want that for me and the community. I want the best for us. And the best we will get is when there is competition. Yeah. Which is funny because remember the phrase from Satya Nadella during the ABK trials? Yeah? If it's about competition, let us have competition. And that's my concern about this move towards bringing Xbox games to PlayStation. Will this move actually increase competition? I don't really care about sales numbers for Xbox, but I do care for competition.
There's a yes and no answer to that, because if Xbox brings out a game and it hits all platforms and it does significantly better on PlayStation than a PlayStation IP, then PlayStation will go and okay, that's a bit of an awkward situation. Xbox have released a game, it's hit with platform, and it's absolutely smashing it. But our game of similar is doing really poor. Like, how do we do better? That's a positive competition situation. When they look at that and say Xbox has just brought out a brand new game, it's hit our platform and it's absolutely destroying what we've got on there. And then on the flip side, they go, yeah, but now it's on our platform, so I don't really care. You can just buy our PlayStation, you get all the games.
Yeah. But would that be good?
Is it like there's two angles to it? There's two angles. Is it going to increase for one, or
world? Imagine a world where we don't have Xbox consoles. Xbox is now not going to die anyway. They are way too big within Microsoft. They are with ABK and ZeniMax, and
too much now.
It's definitely not gonna happen. But if the console itself would disappear, and Xbox would go full third party, Nintendo and PlayStation are playing in a, I would say, still in a little different space there,
Yeah.
because if you are looking for like the major third-party games today, you're not gonna buy a Nintendo Switch.
Nope.
Rarely any major third-party release comes out on the Switch, and if so, months or years after. Yeah, like The Witcher came 4 years after launch or so to the Switch. So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, and then you would have only PlayStation in the console space. There wouldn't be proper competition anymore. So I want a healthy competition. And now I lost my train of thought. The other thing is, right, about bringing it back to them shutting down the studios. I've seen a lot of talks about, okay, this is now happening because of ABK.
Yeah.
And I wanna touch on that as well real quick, because through the 1.5 or almost 2 years of scrutiny, and whether Xbox will be able to acquire ABK or not, I've said always one thing: I'm not overly enthusiastic, because I see two problems that could happen. The first one was always is like, consoles player will not gain much out of this. Outside of Call of Duty, ABK really doesn't have any console games anymore. Yeah. So Blizzard is bringing out a Diablo every 12 years, which I love, but yeah. And then we have World of Warcraft and stuff like that. And King is making mobile games, and there's
Yeah.
no studio within Activision that does anything else but Call of Duty. So console player not getting much out of it. We still hoping to get some legacy titles dropped into Game Pass, but is this making me excited? I own the legacy titles that I want to play already, so no. Console gamers not getting much out of this. This is the one thing why I wasn't super overly enthusiastic. And the other thing is, I've said it will shift away the focus from Microsoft from console even further. Over the last years before ABK, we've seen already Microsoft not caring about the console as much anymore. Yeah, they wanted to grow on PC. They invested a lot there, and now with King in the house, and they also have this mobile segment anymore, it will further distract them from bringing focus to consoles. And this is what we are seeing now, at least to a certain degree. Yeah, when they move the games over to PlayStation and really don't care anymore about console exclusivity and making the console an attractive place to play. Yeah, and of course, within in Microsoft, the most valuable company in the world, they didn't become that because they are nice guys. As
Nope.
hard it is to believe for some people, Microsoft and every major corporation out there are not nice places. These are die-hard business places, and if you invest that much money into a division, with $80 billion being one of the biggest takeovers in the tech space ever in
Ever.
history,
Yeah.
they expect some major growth, and and that means job losses, and that means of course now shutting down studios where they don't feel that they are a business case anymore for them. And it's not what I would like to say, but
Nope.
yeah, ABK is a weird thing for them now, and it shifts the focus of the mother company, and it puts pressure on the Xbox division, and we see that now they can't follow up on their original promises of nurturing creativity, of doing passion projects, and letting also people or developers make mistakes, like a Redfall. That was a misstep for Arcane, obviously. But that's what they have been preaching to us. Yeah, we nurture failure culture, and we do this and that and support the smallers. And now it looks like they are shifting more towards these the AAA games, just like Sony and EA and so on. And that's one thing of the ABK. The other thing that we learned the other day is Dutch Call of Duty might not even come to Game Pass. They are, according to Jason Schreier and Bloomberg, they are having internal debates whether to bring Call of Duty actually to Game Pass. And if that's not,
I don't think they'll do a day and date. I think now it looks like it potentially could be things like after the fact, 3 to 6 months after.
older Call of Duties. No, it's pardon me. The report actually was about bringing Call of Duty Day and Date to Game Pass because hey, surprise, surprise. Selling games makes you probably more money than the subscription. But
I mean, my problem with
that's
Call
the
of Duty
case for every game. You know what I mean? The problem is that is the case probably for every game, and they still considered Game Pass to be a success model and to be a healthy business decision, and to do Day and Date is a healthy business decision. Is what they've been telling us for years, and now, of course, we all have to take it with a grain of salt. But if we look in what's going on over there at Xbox, I wouldn't rule that out at all. That they just say, okay, Call of Duty is the one game that we have that is not coming Day and Date to Game Pass. What do you think about this? Would it make sense?
I mean, the only benefit that they've got is a benefit for the gamer that it comes Day and Date. For the company, from a financial perspective, I can understand why they'd be weighing it up because Call of Duty is a mega seller. Always has been, always will be. And it would, if they advertised it like they should advertise it, it would cost them sales on Xbox because people wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't. I haven't bought the last Call of Duty and I won't buy the next one. And that's down to personal choice because the franchise is still. They haven't done anything to really push the franchise forward. It's the same stuff every year. It doesn't feel any different. It doesn't play any different. Doesn't look any different. So for me, I wouldn't be buying it anyway unless it's in Game Pass. But that's because I refuse to buy a game that has never evolved. Not because I don't want to play Call of Duty. It's just the game hasn't done enough to justify the $70 price tag, in my opinion, especially year after year. And there's going to be a lot of people in the same boat as well, where they think, no, it doesn't matter. I'll wait for sale now. If it's not going on Game Pass, I'll just wait until it's 30 or 40 bucks because I'm not buying it 70. Yeah. And I can understand that. And from Microsoft's perspective, they know the casuals will buy it. They'll buy it Day and Date. So why would you?
The casuals don't know that Game Pass exists.
Exactly. You know, so why would they harm the sales on that front with potential Game Pass? Because although the casuals don't know Game Pass exists, the hardcore do, and the hardcore still buy the game as well every year.
I agree, but this goes for every game. It's not just for Call of Duty. Of course, because sales numbers of a Call of Duty are simply higher than a Hellblade 2 or so.
But not every game is a sales juggernaut with the likes of Call of Duty.
But this comes down. I agree. But this comes down then again. If you take out Call of Duty of Game Pass, the Day and Date thing, if you would take that out, it's again about this potential of growth. You're cutting off these are the kind of moves that would allow Game Pass to grow beyond the 25-30 million subs that they have right now. And this is apparently the big problem. We are not growing. The gaming space isn't growing, which is simply not correct. Xbox isn't growing. Others have similar problems, but EA reported a great earnings report today. Warner Brothers, great earnings report outside of Suicide Squad. Others do have success. Nintendo reported 141 million console sold. Yeah. There's no, and I've said it earlier, there's no reason why Xbox shouldn't be able to sell 140 million consoles, but you need to make it enticing, make it exciting for people. Yeah. And people buy the Switch because they can play a Mario and a Zelda and a Pokemon and the things like that over there. And even Sony is probably not growing. Yeah, I would here per se. They're still selling a lot more consoles. So for Microsoft, there's a lot of potential to grow in as to what it is today. Yeah. And Call of Duty not bringing to Game Pass. Think about the messaging you send out. They sold us Game Pass on our first party games day and date, but not with Call of Duty, because with Call of Duty we could sell a little bit more.
Again, mixed messaging. Yeah. Again, mixed messaging.
Yeah. Would just send out the message. Yeah, it's good for the what the negatives have always been saying, the Game Pass fillers. Yeah, but it's not good enough for the big blockbusters like a Call of Duty. That would be the messaging. I don't think it would be a good idea, but hey, Xbox in recent months, I don't know anymore what they are doing.
Yeah, they could say one thing and do another, and that's what they've been doing quite frequently. Again, it's we're people that play everywhere, so we have our preference is Xbox. That's because we've been there since day dot. We've built a library, we've built our friends on there, we've built everything on there, which is why the preference is Xbox. However, we have PCs, we have PlayStations, we have Nintendos, etc. And the problem's always going to be Xbox, again, with the mixed messaging and the marketing, is their greatest downfall. Always has been and always will do. You buy a company that size, you get Call of Duty as one of your own IPs, and then you don't take advantage of that situation. Makes little sense.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Dutch. This is a weird situation overall. And it is.
I think the brand seems like it's in complete and utter limbo right now. I don't think they know what they want to be.
Yeah.
And I don't think they know what they want to do. Do you want Game Pass subscriptions? Do you not want Game Pass subscriptions? Do you want big AAA games that cost hundreds of millions? Or do you want tiny games that don't cost hundreds of millions? And if you do want tiny games, why are you getting rid of the studios that are creating these unique experiences that are making these smaller experiences?
Do you want exclusive games, or do you don't?
Day and date or not day and date, and like you need to figure it out. And when you've figured that out, stick to it. Don't just say you're going to do something and then doing something entirely different. Stick to the message that you're putting out. And the problem they've had is they haven't stuck to anything they've said so far. And we mocked PlayStation for at the beginning of the generation because they did exactly the same thing. The messaging at the beginning of the generation for PlayStation was absolutely dog shit. It's only on PlayStation 5. It's only on PlayStation 5. It's only on PlayStation 5. And then it was cross-gen. And it was on PlayStation 4 and 5. And PlayStation 4 and 5.
And you need the SSD.
Yeah, you need the SSD. You don't need the SSD. And this is... So we mocked them for that at the beginning of the generation. But Microsoft's been doing it for the entire generation and a lot of the end of the last gen. Yeah. And we hoped it improved, and we hoped it would improve, but it hasn't. The messaging is still dog shit, and it needs to improve. They need to figure out what it is that they want to do, how they plan on doing it, and stick to it. Don't just wait 12 months and go, yeah, it's not working, okay, bye.
Yeah,
no, because that's not how that's not going to grow anything. You're not going to see things overnight because games don't take 12 months to release. Things like you've got, okay, we've released 3 games. Great. Out of a portfolio of 40 or more games that are in development. 4 games is how you're judging the entire thing on. That makes complete sense, Microsoft. Makes complete sense. How do you know this project or this strategy is working if you haven't released the fucking games in the first place for the strategy to work? Because you haven't released the games for the strategy to work. We've been moments where we've relied on really poor months in Game Pass and occasional third-party hits here and there, and then one or two maybe AAA Xbox releases going in there, like a Forza or a Halo, or maybe you got Starfield eventually, and that's it. Outside of that, what?
Yeah.
That's not
Yeah,
good. Of
exactly.
course, it's not going to grow. Of course, it's not going to grow Game Pass. It's not. That's not enough to grow Game Pass. And as soon as, and this we've said it again, as soon as you start getting a consistent lineup of games, which is what they have now, you're starting to see that consistent drop of games starting now with your Hellblades and your Avoweds and your Indiana Jones, and all of this is now lined up. And then next year you've got your Fables and things like that, and your Clockwork Revolution and all of these games that are now steadily starting to come out going forwards, and we've got this huge pipeline of games, and now you're starting to get unsure about it.
Yeah.
This is exactly when you should be starting to go, right, now we're starting to see how Game Pass does.
Now we exactly what I meant earlier. Now we are at this point where Xbox is finally where they're supposed to be for years. Yeah. And to be in this cadence of regular quality games, and if they would stick to it now and be consistent for, let's say, 2 years or so,
yeah,
and then start the next gen in 26, they would have the trust of people to, okay, this is what I'm getting when I invest into the ecosystem. Because at the end of the day, that's what it is. It is an investment that people take. It's an investment of money and time, and that's the strategy. It took them way too long to come together and to come to fruition. But they are starting this now, and now they are abandoning it. And this is so weird to see. And yeah.
Yeah,
it is.
It's very strange. It's very strange.
It is so kind of sad to see, because what we also got end of last week is the announcement of the upcoming showcase. Yeah.
Yes.
We have the June showcase coming in a month. We have 9th of May now. 9th of June, we get their showcase.
Yeah.
And this is usually the time of the year where everyone's excited about platforms. People like us, we do that every year. We're gonna do it also this year. The prediction shows, and we're getting excited. It's E3 time. I will forever call it E3 time. Is a gamer's Christmas, we're getting excited to see what do we see, what we will hear, what we'll learn, what will we be playing in the next couple of months and years. It's an exciting time. And they announced that showcase with the actual showcase and the redacted thing, which obviously is Call of Duty. And they took all the buzz out of this. It could have been after this, okay, we had the Xbox going third-party discussion earlier. Hellblade is gonna come out in 2 weeks, and in 4 weeks we will have the big showcase, and people can get excited about the brand. Yeah? Because from a pure game perspective, so far, the future looks very exciting for them.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for Hellblade. Cannot wait to play Indiana Jones. Avowed. Skyrim from from Obsidian. Yeah. Super hyped. I'm gonna play Stalker 2. Yeah. I'm gonna be playing all those games for the rest of the year. Awesome. some smaller things like a Towerborn coming in there. Cool. We could be excited. But the negativity comes from Xbox and their moves. And are they going to invest in games like a Towerborn in the future after not trusting in a Hi-Fi Rush? Is Hellblade big enough? And Ninja Theory not the next victim? Or you know what I mean? And this is so weird to see. And yeah, we are not in the position to run that business, that multi-billion-dollar business. And they definitely have their reasons, and you can argue all day long. And Alpha Dog is probably not the studio that will help them grow. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, and a Roundhouse probably also not. But that's what Xbox has been promising us. Yeah, we are going to invest in bigger and smaller games. And this mixed messaging and everything is such a buzzkill towards something where we should actually be excited for, which is the showcase. Yeah. So yeah, let's use that as a segue to talk about the showcase, and maybe just briefly get get away from the frustration that is Xbox right now, and talk about the showcase, because this should actually be a fire show. Yeah, the showcase has been announced June 9th. We will definitely have a reaction show afterwards. They're gonna do a similar thing like they did last year, yeah, with a proper showcase and then a developer direct, which is focusing solely on one game. Last year it was Starfield, where we had the 45-minute deep dive of what is Starfield, and this year it's probably going to be Call of Duty, because even though they haven't announced that officially, you know, the logo they posted and everyone knew, okay, it's Call of Duty. So what do you think about this showcase and the buzzkill and everything?
Yeah, but buzzkill is definitely the right word for it. I mean, I'm still excited to see the games. Still excited to see updates on the games. I was talking about this the other day, actually, because I was going to do a video about games that we hadn't seen for a while that I wanted updates for. But on the news of studio closures and Microsoft looking at potentially leaning the studios even further, I thought, let's just wait on that one for a minute, because we never know, depending on how studios are doing and what troubles they might be having, whether or not Microsoft decide to cut ties. So I think I'll wait on that one a minute. But in terms of looking forward to seeing the games, yes, I'm definitely still looking forward to seeing the games that are coming up. But it has taken a little bit, especially for those that have been watching this news and things like that. It's going to be a little bit strange trying to kind of pick up the same hype level when you've just closed multiple studios and laid loads of people off. And you're going to see it in some of the posts as well, where they start trying to hype up the showcase over the next coming weeks. You're going to see a lot of people going and attacking them about studio closures and people losing their jobs. And it's going to be that way. And they're going to get these tough questions around that, especially after the Xbox showcase. IGN have got an interview with them afterwards, and I fully expect IGN to be asking them those tough questions. Like, you're coming out here and trying to celebrate games, but you're also closing developers down and studios down. So they explain the reasoning behind, like full reasoning behind that. And the tough questions need to be asked. So there's going to be a chalk and cheese moment. There's going to be points where they need to cover the fact that, you're going to, a month before your big showcase, which is probably the biggest in your history, where you've got all of these brand new studios on board. You've just closed several studios where they've had literally critically acclaimed games get awarded BAFTAs only just the month before, and you've closed them down. It is a bit strange, but ultimately we're here to celebrate the games and the developers, and there are going to be lots of developers that are concerned right now with the way things are going, especially those at Microsoft and Xbox, and hoping that they remain in jobs and work, etc. And those are the people that we need to celebrate. Those are the games that we need to celebrate, and we need to hope that going forward they will be celebrated. And I'm looking forward to doing so. So it's I'm still looking forward to the showcase. Still looking forward to seeing what games we've got coming up. There's a few that I hope we see, like your State of Decays. I hope we see an update for that. I hope we get an update for Avowed. I hope we get an update for, in terms of Avowed, in terms of kind of maybe a little bit of final gameplay before it's released and a definitive date.
Yeah.
And then also find out what's going on with Clockwork, and maybe a little bit more about South of Midnight, and see some unknown kind of games that we haven't seen before. Yeah, I've still ultimately got the hype, and I think it'll increase over the coming weeks. But they're definitely going to get some flack as well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we all know how much or how fast the mood of social media changes. Yeah, the drama of the one day is the excitement of the next day. This is just what happens, and in 2 weeks we will all think probably not really different, but can get excited about other stuff again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and that's the thing for this showcase. Yeah. And I've said this before. I feel like this year's showcase could be the big showcase where they come out full swing with tons of AAA games. Because last year was an awesome showcase, but a lot of the games in there were more like in the AA space. When you think about a Clockwork, or when you think about a South of Midnight and those kind of games. But if you think about all the major AAA games that they have announced, Perfect Dark, Fable, whatever it is working on, the next Doom game, there are so many games, State of Decay, Contraband, all those games that we haven't heard anything about. And those games have been in the works for a long time. We got a guest.
We do.
What's up?
What's up? BitCloud is here. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How about y'all?
Thank you. Great of you to jump in.
Yeah, interesting week.
A very interesting week. Yeah.
Understatement.
Understatement.
Woo! We had that insane weekend, and we got this. I mean, when does it stop?
Yeah.
When does it stabilize? When does it get back to games? But unfortunately, no. It gets worse.
We're just trying to bridge away from that negative topic after talking about it for over an hour, and wanted to talk about the games we are getting excited about because it's showcase season. We also hear PlayStation probably gonna have one in May.
Yeah, I've been hearing that for like the past 3 months. Though it's going to be this month, it's going to be that month. Then there's May. I believe when I see it. I'm getting real tired of these inside, analysts or these fake conspiracy breakers who know apparently where it's going to happen.
See, it's what I don't call an insider. It's an educated guess. They had their showcase last year, also like 2 weeks or so before E3. With all the news out about the PS5 Pro and everything, it's about time that they announced their showcase.
And that's the thing too. When we get to that showcase, I hope it's more of big games from PlayStation and not more of a hardware show off. I hope in God's case that's not what it is. But to get to Xbox, so you guys talking about things you're excited for, or things that we need to be
the showcase.
Gear
Showcase
6, honestly, I'm thinking of a
yeah.
big name. Gear 6 needs to be there to take some of the damn the eyes away from this situation in regards to Tango. I can't believe Hi-Fi Rush is not going to get a sequel. I thought that game was guaranteed for a while to get a sequel after the success, but unfortunately, that's not the case. And I think Matt Booty said one of the most ridiculous comments. I think you saw that article I posted where he was like, yeah, we need more games like this. But then the next day, cancels the studio, which makes no sense to me. But we definitely need Gear 6, though, to be there. You definitely need at least a tease of some sort for the next Doom. I mean, I don't care if the project is ready. You need to go old school. I'm talking title cards. You need to show off what is in the pipeline, because right now people are beyond restless and people really want a reason to latch onto this box still. A lot of people are calling it quits. A lot of people really are moving on. And it's sad to see that, because, competition brings out the best in everybody. I love seeing competition, but when you don't have competition and it's so one-sided as this, I mean, look how quiet PlayStation is. This is not something that I want to be a precedent here. No updates on the studios. No, we need updates. We need to see what's happening.
We don't have a roadmap at all. Besides Wolverine, there's basically nothing noteworthy coming. We have like Concord and stuff like that, but nobody cares and nobody talks about.
Nobody cares about that weird game where you have like to keep your balance and walk. About that. Nobody cares about weird games like that. We want
that's so true. The roadmap of PlayStation has never looked that empty. Yeah, and there has to be something that that Naughty Dog is working on something, and Santa Monica and Bend Studios. We all know that, but nobody knows what it is, when it's coming. And so, that's so weird. And this is what I mentioned something earlier. When you look at Xbox from a pure game perspective, their roadmap is packed. Like, that's something to get excited about. Look at the lineup this year alone, and then with the June case, Gear 6, like you said, I still hope it's gonna be there, because it's been 5 years since Gears 5, and that's a long time, and
very long.
We should really be able to see something there. Perfect Dark. 6 years now in development. I
don't even know what to expect from that at this point. I just don't, because Everwild probably has a higher chance of being shown than Perfect Dark at this point, and Everwild started all over in terms of production. We heard that Perfect Dark is apparently in not a good condition. We hear Crystal's kept bringing out Tomb Raider first. Tomb Raider should come out within the next fiscal years, in the next 12 months.
That's onto Unreal now as well, isn't it?
Yeah. It's also on Unreal.
It's going to look insane for sure. They're going to deliver on the visual aspect.
Absolutely. So I don't know about Perfect Dark. I loved the original on the N64. A huge fan. And it has this shine. They said it's a quadruple A game, right?
Triple A game, whatever they say.
So, after 6 years, we could definitely see an update there. Everwild, you mentioned Everwild,
I hope so.
I do.
Do we still think Everwild's in production?
Well, they said they started all over. Right, that was the last update we got. They started all over from.
Well, it wasn't officially confirmed. The last update was about 2 years ago from Matt Booty, where he's commented on that rumor of Everwild being restarted, where he said, like, most people probably don't really understand what restart from for a game means. It doesn't mean we start from scratch. It simply means we move it in a different direction or something like that.
So restart for the genre, I'm guessing. Is that what he's trying to allude to? I don't know. I don't know. That's just weird wording.
I want to
innovative.
I want to say. I mean, Rare. How old is Sea of Thieves now? I want to say 8 years.
almost 9
Right.
years.
Yeah.
Almost 9
yeah.
years.
So, and yes, they have been supporting that game pretty well, but still, would love to see a new Rare game. Contraband also. I like the idea of what they've said the game is going to be, and when they announced it 3 years ago, they announced it with the words, "We have been working for more than 3 years on Contraband already." And so that makes it 6+ years now in development.
Yeah, I know Hellblade 2 is definitely going to be there because it's still not released time
no.
for more like they saw. When's that?
I don't think so.
Hellblade this month.
Hellblade is out by then.
Okay.
Yeah, 21st of this month it releases.
Oh, okay.
You mean you wouldn't think so because it's not being advertised anyway?
Yeah, that's where they're killing me. Where's the advertisement for that? I saw one little banner. I didn't see no crazy advertisement.
Yeah, it releases in 2 weeks.
I think
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Oh wow, Jesus Christ!
21st.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So
that's insane.
Do you think we'll see Fable again? They've shown it last year, and so when they show it again, they would need to show proper gameplay. They can't do like a montage trailer again.
Yeah, considering how anticipated that game is, I could see like a teaser of some sorts. I'm not sure if they're ready for a gameplay presentation yet. It is interesting to see, though. It could be. They could give you a small little hint of it. Like it'll start off like we saw a trailer for them, and then they'll end it off like a small 5-minute piece of just to show you off the new things they're doing with the game.
Yeah,
in real time. I could see something like that, but again, I do want that because we want more surprises. We want that that shock feel. We want that excitement in here. So I hope that we do get something like that here. I don't want no CGI trailers. I get, CGI trailers do it for some people, but honestly,
they wouldn't do a CGI trailer for Fable because they already have shown.
Not about like in general for projects.
Yeah,
I don't want the CGI trailers. They set unrealistic expectations for a lot of people.
I think the one, the perfect trailer was we've mentioned it multiple times, but the Clockwork Revolution.
Oh yeah, that was so real time.
Exactly what the game.
Yeah, it was real time. And when you saw it, it's 1-for-1. It's literally the exact same game. What you saw, I feel like a lot of studios just are afraid to do that. They just give you this over bloated type of presentation.
What it is that we never used to have though. We never used to. If you think back to showcases years ago, we didn't hyper analyze how a game looks. We didn't hyper analyze how a game.
We were just excited for the reveal.
Like we saw the reveal. We're excited for the game, and that was that. But these days, like Avowed, as we saw.
Yep.
Immediately hyper analyzed. This game's too colorful. It's not as grim as it looked. It's not as realistic as it looked.
There's no blood. There's no particles. Like my guy, it's
hyper analyzing everything now. Done. So it kind of takes like a lot of the time. You can't even be excited for even you tell people you're excited for a game and people are just lambasting.
They call you a grifter and all this weird stuff. It's just like it is a sad state. Of gaming.
True.
It really is a sad state.
But to be fair, with the last 2 showcases, Xbox has done a tremendous job because there were basically no CGI trailers in there. Everything that they have shown was either straight gameplay or at least in-game footage that they use, like Fable. Yeah. And I think they have done a fairly good job over the last 2 showcases with that, and that was also the general sentiment and the feedback that they have received. Well done, everything with gameplay, just the way it's supposed to be. And I would be surprised if they would move away from that success formula for this year's showcase.
I don't think the presentation. See, Microsoft's been nailing it with the presentation aspect and the pacing. So I know for a fact the show will flow. I think we all can agree. The show will flow when we eventually get to this showcase.
Yeah.
It just you have to ask yourself, especially in light of the situation now, what is the big guns you can throw out to misdirect people away from, direct people away from this topic of what you're seeing.
Yeah.
Now. And there's only a few games that Microsoft has that we can actually throw out here. A new Doom would definitely do it. Gears would definitely do it. I
bet Doom is gonna be there. It's been
Doom
a long
has
time.
To be there at this point. Yeah,
it has been cooking for a long time on it. Everyone thought it's gonna be going to be a Quake reboot. in the similar to what they've done with Doom in 2017. But
we're not going to get anything Halo related, so we're going to move Halo out because Halo is his own little thing here. Fable is definitely something that needs to be on it. That's 3 games right out the gate, but then you got to go to the rest of the studios. What else do we have to throw at here? What can
State of Decay 3? I bet that's gonna be there.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. The last time we heard from State of Decay was that weird trailer with the deer, right? It was eating a wolf, and then we never saw it again.
And the last thing we heard after that was the Coalition were getting involved.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the last we've heard about State of Decay 3.
Okay.
And
I want to say 3 years ago or so, they founded a second studio, Undead Labs, that is specializing on animation work.
Okay.
Yeah.
You need Killer Instinct as well. Do Killer Instinct. A lot of people have been asking for, like, you need just to wow people. Just give people that wow factor. Throw out games at this point. You need to throw them out.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. I don't think that Killer Instinct is going to happen.
People want it though. The demand's there. I see it. A lot of people still talk about it. So I'm surprised that it's not being thought of. People want Killer Instinct, but
people want a lot of things. They also want all those reboots of the Activision IPs and so on.
Conquer, remake a Conquer or something.
Conquer, Tony Hawk. Yeah.
Double Fine are doing?
Double Fine.
I want to see their big project.
I mean,
not Kiln. Kiln's not the big project. I don't want to see Kiln. Kiln can be shown. Let them show it. But that's not the big project. I want to see what the big project is.
Indiana Jones, more likely going to be shown again here. I don't think anybody. Are you guys sold on Indiana Jones? You guys
absolutely.
Oh yeah. I'm a big indie fan. Yeah, but I'm old.
Big indie fan, big machine game fan. I don't see a reason why not to be excited. Looks great.
Yeah.
Did you like y'all prefer the third person or y'all like the first person?
I'm open for both.
You open for both?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, same. I like how they've kind of, because I was dubious at first when they were doing the first third person, but I like how they go into third person for certain aspects, like certain shooting
like
parts
parkour.
or certain traversal parts. And then it comes into the first person for the puzzles. And I mentioned why that was a good thing is naturally for first person, when you're doing puzzle solving, it's a lot easier to look
see
at
what you're looking at. Yeah.
See what you're doing.
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to rely on camera angles for a lot of their puzzles, like the line up stuff. And
yeah. So I'm excited for it. I hope it hits the mark. I hope I'm not expecting it to be a big game. I'm expecting it to be maybe 15, 20 hours.
Yeah, it doesn't have the link. It doesn't have the name recognition of like a Star Wars type of thing. Yeah, that's what it is. Because the reason why is no disrespect to the character. It's just a lot of people are not familiar with Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
It is in modern day pop culture not as relevant anymore. Indiana Jones, but it's still everyone knows what Indiana Jones is, and that it is a name. And I mean, we've been asking them to go into pop culture IPs for a long time, and with Indiana Jones, it's going to be the first one. Then we have, of course, Blade coming, which I by the way, don't think. No.
I know. We saw like
way too early.
Concept of the world, right? It was like in London, that's what they said. And that was
Paris, I think it was Paris.
Paris? Okay.
Yeah.
So, no, that's the way. Damn.
It's probably a next gen game.
Damn.
Yeah.
I hope it's not next gen. I really don't say that. I don't hope it's not next gen.
Yeah, definitely. They just started development a year ago or so it's not gonna be this gen.
Yeah, no, I can't. Every dev can't be like an Insomniac. They literally live in the studio at this point, drop stuff. They can't be that.
So yeah. Do you think we'll see hardware? Because you remember the business update that they did in February. They said we have hardware coming later this year.
The Series E or something like that is what it's called. Where it's basically the no disk drive version.
The no disk drive, the adorably all digital console that leaked last year and looks like the Alexa, the Amazon Alexa thing.
I mean, considering the fact of how bold they're getting by just making these consoles with options for no disc, I guarantee you the next gen we won't be a disc at all. I'm pretty sure most people have moved on.
I agree.
People moved on to digital.
Maybe they have a, like an
They're just doing
external
an optional
thing.
side thing, yeah.
Yeah, an external optional side thing, but I don't think that the base console itself will gonna have a hard drive.
Yeah,
Well, that's what PlayStation did with the PS5, didn't it? The new revised PS5 is an optional disc drive. You can buy it with the optional disc drive, but you can actually take it off even on the one that you've bought.
Yep.
So yeah, it's an entirely optional thing. Ultimately, it drives it down. The reason the costs of drives are going up is because they're so unrequired these days.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's keeping costs higher for consoles. You would think that would drive down consoles going forward if they don't have a disc drive, but ultimately, because there's not many manufacturers still producing Blu-ray drives, because the demand isn't there, then it's driving the cost up. It's simple as that.
So,
and
you guys
that
think
gamer who collects stuff has gotten more and more smaller
much slimmer
in this gym. So this gym's really been that big of a testament, especially we look at the software sales. It's mostly like 70% mostly digital most of the time. So and collector's editions don't even feel the same, because guess what? Collector's editions don't even come with physical media. They come with codes and just whatever you bought, like a statue, whatever. So I do think it's over at next gen. I was going to think 2 gens, but nah, next gen is going
to be over. I think so too. But yeah, I've seen because I posted this on Twitter, and I've seen very mixed opinions about hardware being at the showcase, because we had this leak last year during the ABK trial thing where Microsoft leaked all their roadmap, and there was this Alexa-looking Xbox, which is basically a slim. It's not a Pro model. It's not an enhanced console. It's like different form factor, smaller, bigger hard drive, better Wi-Fi, and that's it. But it's the same core specs. And along with that, they leaked a new controller with
the new controller.
Exactly.
Haptics.
So, but then Phil came out and said, yeah, well, plans have changed and blah, blah, blah. Don't believe everything in this roadmap. And now people are speculating, of course. Are they going to release a Slim this year? Or have they canceled that and just full focus next gen in 26 or whenever? What do you guys think? Will we see a console and the new controller?
Considering the fact that a Pro unit for PS5 is dropping, I wouldn't put it past Microsoft to do it, because it's like, the competition is dropping a new piece of hardware, so why not? I guess in their mind they would do it as an option. It comes down to that question: is it necessary? Do we need a revised all digital version? Well, key things could play a factor in here is pricing. If the pricing of it is the exact same as what you're paying for your base model Xbox One or a series, with the disk drive, kind of pointless. No real need for it whatsoever, especially you're not offering any upgrades. PS5 Pro, I would even argue, is pointless. Even devs are saying PS5 Pro is pointless because they haven't really maxed out the hardware yet. We're just now getting another option for apparently some odd reason. So I don't think it's necessary, but I wouldn't put it past it. That controller is probably the only real interesting thing that's about it, because it's got haptics, and
God, they love controllers and sell you like
customized gyroscope thing they're talking about. They got the new triggers, so that looks cool. But that's something that you would expect typically from a new generation type of thing. It's a new controller like that when you're trying to improve it that much. But by the time we get to next gen, it is interesting what they do with that going forward. But I'm wondering if they're going to have a new. I'm pretty sure you all got Elite controllers, right, for Xbox?
Yeah, got it right here.
So I'm wondering if they're going to update those with that new one that you're going to get.
I bet so.
New Elite controllers, because that's another thing to take into account.
But I don't think that they will announce them both together.
No. Like probably later down.
In my mind, it's like, okay, they announced this Xbox Slim, and since it is the same hardware in its core, it has a bigger hard drive, big deal. They are gonna focus on that controller and that new feature, those new features, and then like have 6 months later or so the announcement of an Elite or something like that. But I expect some hardware to be there, because it was only in February where Sarah Bond said that we have hardware coming later this year. So whatever they have is gonna be announced at the showcase. I don't think it's gonna be announced at Gamescom or something like that.
Yeah.
Dutch, what do you think?
Depends. It could be the Game Awards again. But no, in terms of hardware, because they said they were talking about the future of and the biggest technological leap of hardware, etc. Blah blah blah. That type of thing I don't expect to see. I think if we do get hardware, it'll probably be controller and or a slim/digital version of the Series X. We've already got, of course, a digital version in the Series S, but the Series X big boy with the no disc would be the next one. But again, probably revising its structure to make it look a little bit different, because obviously
power management more.
At the moment, it would just be a case of just putting a literal, just putting the plastic back over the disc face on the Series X and then selling it like that. That's pretty much all it's doing. So, and again, as you mentioned, BitCloud price. If they do go down that route, then they're going to have to bring it in at a very affordable price that might convince a few people to get it. But they're struggling to sell consoles as it is, so then they have to weigh that up.
Yeah, and that's the insane part. I'm trying to think of a good price point for this. I would say 400, right? But
yeah,
honestly, I think 350. If they can get it down there, 350 would be the sweet spot for them to sell it even better.
I mean, I think it really depends where PlayStation is going to price the PS5 Pro, because that's the issue for them then, right? If you don't have a Pro to directly compete with them, you can't sell. Let's say the PS5 Pro comes out at 600, okay, and the Series X is right now at 550. Yeah, that's too close together for a console that is then on paper definitely weaker. So they have to bring down the price of the Series X somehow, and usually the Slim is supposed to do exactly that. Yeah, after a couple of years into a gen, you can manufacture your APU on half of the die size, make that chip cheaper. Memory is getting cheaper, as the SSDs have gotten cheaper, everything, and then bring the price cost down. That's the whole point of a Slim. Yeah. And
have they given you guys more options now with that little proprietary memory?
There's only one more.
There's
one,
and
that's Western Digital.
Yeah, Western Digital has one as well.
Okay.
1 terabit is 150.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought Seagate was partnering with them. They had like a whole bunch of more. That was going to be
no. Seagate did, but all they brought out was the 512 and maybe 2 terabit as well.
They have a 2 gig,
2 terabit, but that was like 300 or something stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying proprietary. Yeah, damn. Yeesh.
Pricing wise, no, there's no real huge jump or benefit yet.
So PS5, the base one was 500, with the 400 being the digital. I would reckon the PS5 Pro would just be 500. I don't think they had the balls to say $600.
Hey, the PS5 Pro at the PS5 is now 550 already. So
that's true. Yeah, that is true. They did add an extra 50 on it. So will they go to 600? Well, that's now we're getting into dangerous territory, because now people are going to really start looking at it with that magnifying glass I brought with y'all. Because if you look at the power, now all of us here, we're PC, we're PC enthusiasts. Me and Dutch are, we know what we're gonna get. If they're talking about a 40% or 30% increase to GPU, but it's still rocking the same CPU at a 10%.
Yeah.
Basically, what that means, they just overclock the CPU and just giving you a better GPU. That's basically it.
Yeah.
And even with that, that's not guaranteeing a lot of the things.
You're still going to get a huge bottleneck.
Yeah,
the interesting part about this is going to be the PSSR, the upscaling technology. I doubt it will be somewhere close to what DLSS does.
Cool,
but if it's
older titles, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, but it doesn't automatically work on older titles. The developers have to actually code for it. So the question is how many developers will go back to their already released games and add PSSR in for that small install base that the PS5 Pro will have. Yeah. So, but yeah, in terms of performance for new releases, I see, I get that 40 Digital Foundry earlier this week said it's going to be 45% GPU performance increase, but that really doesn't help you that much. It will push out a few more pixels. But with PSSR, if that is good and actually implemented in games, because FSR could probably do the same thing, but nobody implements it on console for some reason. Yeah. But yeah, it's gonna. I don't think it's gonna be a major leap. It's gonna be a nice upgrade. And yeah, if we talk about 600 plus, people will look at it. But
$600.
I doubt that it will come out cheaper than 600. Honestly.
Yeah, it'd be a miracle if they give that a 550 and then they drop the original, the new streamlined slim model that they got where you can take everything down. I do think that is a possibility. That is 600. If it's 600, then you got to ask yourself, okay, well, for 600, what games are fully taking advantage of X amount of features? Number one. Number two, what games are really giving you that true next gen upgrade performance? I think we can all agree one studio will take full advantage of it.
Absolutely.
And that's Insomniac Games.
Yeah,
Insomniac Games will take
probably Naughty Dog as well.
Naughty Dog for sure. That is their other top studio. But the thing about Naughty Dog's been stuck making the same game. They haven't been dropping anything truly next gen. You know what I'm saying? It's mostly just been a re-release of the same game. And that's kind of been a lot of the other studios. Like right now, it's going around that Horizon Zero Dawn is getting a
remaster.
PS5. Why? Who asked for this? Where's the Bloodborne remake? People want stuff like that, or Infamous. I know all of you go crazy for another Infamous or something of that magnitude, but they're not getting that type of performance. It's like at this point, I'm just annoyed, because you got this good box, you got this cool. We got these boxes now that are way better than PS4 and Xbox One. And we're seeing diminishing returns from last gen to this gen because we're not even getting many new experiences. It's more of the same re-releases. This miles are called this the remastered gen because all you played are games you played last generation.
Yeah.
It's all been repackaged.
Yeah.
And the stuff that we've been hyped for has either been criticized to oblivion, right? Or some of these games that just launched broken. And that is the sad part. Some games don't even get the recognition because of politics, like Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah,
unfortunately, and that's how disappointing this generation has been. That's why I even said it's like it's the worst console gen I've seen in a long time. There's no excitement. Y'all notice that? There's no excitement. Everybody just wants to argue. There's no excitement,
which is crazy because actually we do get to play a lot of great games. There's barely a month going by where we don't get to play a great release. Yeah, we just had Dragon's Dogma this year. We had Suicide Squad. We had I love Prince of Persia, Banishers. Great games coming each and every month.
Nobody's talking about them. They're talking about the negatives.
Yeah, that's so true.
Nobody's mentioning it. Yeah,
so
you would know. And then when you don't see advertisement for a game and people and you go to social media, for example, right, and the first thing you see is people bashing said game, you would think immediately, oh, I guess that game is horrible. Looking at the optics point of view, look at Hellblade 2. Yeah, we just went over this. There's no marketing for Hellblade 2.
Yeah.
People saying, oh, it's 30 FPS. Well, the people complaining about that clearly didn't play the original. It was 30 FPS on the original PS5 or PS4. And it was a small budget team at the time. But I do get it. 60 FPS should be an option for this. I would like that.
The problem is not that people complain about every game that comes out at 30 and doesn't have a performance mode because that's not what the consoles have been sold on. Both Sony and Microsoft promised us 60 is going to be the new standard, and we have the power, and this is that's where what we play now. And now you see all major releases basically coming out at 30, and the ones that do have a performance mode, like Final Fantasy Rebirth or Avatar, or so. You really can't use the performance mode because the hits are simply too much. Yeah, I think that's more the issue than it's with a soul game, and that's just what it is. The consoles aren't that powerful as they were promised, But I do agree with what you said about this gen. And again, I find that weird because when you look at it, 2023 was probably one of the best years in video game history ever. The only year I can think of where you could argue that was on a similar level was maybe 2007,
Yeah.
And that's about it. So we just had one of the best years in video games ever.
It just feels like a different era, don't it?
And like you said, because everyone is just constantly complaining about everything. It's
people just don't like gaming. I feel like nobody likes gaming. I think they prefer bragging rights over the studios and over the content. Like, look at last gen. Remember, like this go to last gen by itself. Remember the excitement you got when you saw the orchestra type of presentation we was getting for these games, or just the over the top presentations in general, where they go there, you actually go and be a part of the event, E3 level experiences.
Yeah,
we're not getting that no more. You know what I'm saying? E3 is officially gone. We're pretty much at the mercy of a studio that wants to do a showcase or not. Rockstar is so big now, they don't need Sony, they don't need Microsoft, they don't even need Nintendo to advertise their games, and they can make 5 times the same impact on a channel that barely gets any traction as it is, like them uploading anything. That's what I mean. And they do this, so it just goes to show like how bad things have changed and how quickly the not only the narrative, right, but the energy has shifted from anticipation of games to worry about games. Before we used to be anticipating them. We used to be excited, looking for, have these crazy conspiracies or what we think are going to happen, right? Now it's dangerous to do that because there's no guarantee of what you're going to get.
That's the thing. Bringing it back to the showcase, usually that's the season where we do have that excitement, and then we get the buzzkills like earlier this week, and it's like,
do you feel that though? You got the action. Do you really feel that type of energy going into this Xbox showcase?
So far, it's like I said, we all should be super excited, but of course, with this discourse going around and the things happening across the industry, not just with Xbox,
PlayStation as well. I'm not excited for anything PlayStation's doing right now.
There's no excitement around PlayStation. Usually when a Pro comes out and there's new hardware, there's always this excitement. Think about when this gen started. Everyone was so hyped. Yeah, we get a PS5 and we get a Series X and and this. I don't feel that excitement in the community right now about PlayStation either. There's nothing to be excited about. They haven't announced any games. And even with the Switch 2, the Switch 2 is like very much needed. But we are waiting for years and years, and people are tired. And
wow, I'm not worried about no Switch 2. I don't even think that's going to be on par with a Rogue Ally at this point. I don't think it's going to be on that level, but
it'll still be a massive upgrade. A massive upgrade over the
no more friend
current
codes.
one.
They're using Nintendo accounts. I think that's what's confirmed. No more friend code things. Something like that. I think that's what they said. So that's interesting.
What they announced is that they start to not bind your account to the console anymore. That it will carry over, because that's the problem. What they have right now with the Nintendo Online system, that it is your account is bound to that console.
Oh, that's horrible. So somebody stole your Switch, they just basically got your entire account.
Basically,
boy,
your entire library of games, everything.
Nintendo is so ridiculous, boy.
Indeed. So, but anything else we predict or expect from that showcase? Because there's one big thing we haven't talked about, is this developer direct that they put that they will air directly after the actual showcase, the redacted one. We mentioned earlier, it's gonna be Call of Duty. Yeah, everyone knows that. But like last year, they spent 45 minutes doing a deep dive for Starfield, and I loved the format. It was perfect because if you think about how vast and big Starfield was, they had to take the time, to explain, okay, you can do shipbuilding and base building and explore the planets, and you have this and that and this mechanic in the game and that. So 45 minutes, awesome deep dive last year is Call of Duty, does Call of Duty, everyone knows what Call of Duty is going to be like. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not really much you can do else to Call of Duty. You went to space, you went to World War II, World War III. Like, there's not really anything
you
can
reveal
do
the setting,
Call
and
of
everyone
Duty.
knows, okay, this is the gameplay, and that's the multiplayer, the Call of Duty. There is this rumor out there, and that's why I wanted to talk to you guys about this. There is this rumor out there that this year is Black Ops Gulf War, yeah, and that the campaign actually goes open world in the spirit of Far Cry, yeah. So, and I thought, okay, if they do that, it would be cool. It would be something different. Finally,
that's definitely different for the franchise.
For the franchise.
The thing is, though, I'd speak for a lot of people here. Call of Duty's campaigns have been so lackluster. They have not carried over as well. They just have not aged well. A lot of them, like some of the OG ones, are good.
Yeah.
War at War, Black Ops 1 still is like one of the best stories that they've told with the spin. The numbers. I feel like an open world story for them, it just wouldn't fit personally. Like, it wouldn't be like, it would be a cool thing, right? But I don't think that's going to sell it. Everybody just buys Call of Duty for one thing and one thing only: multiplayer, and that's literally their bread and butter.
Not me. I'm not a Call of Duty multiplayer fan. I do enjoy the campaigns though. It's like a Michael Bay movie, You don't expect the deep story. You don't expect
Black Ops 2 with the futuristic. They were doing that Michael Bay-ish type of vibe.
Yeah, so it's like, I'm just saying, like, it's a 5 to 6 hour campaign. You can play through that in one weekend. It's always well presented, big action moments, and turn your brain off, play 5 hours Call of Duty campaign. What I usually don't do is buy them at full price, because I'm not buying a game for $70 to play a 5 hour campaign. I usually wait until they are on sale for $20-$30. Then I get a Call of Duty, play the 5 hour campaign, and be just done with it.
Right.
Yeah. So, but if they would do something like a Far Cry, an open world, it for the first time I would be at least interested in actually getting it.
Drive intrigue for sure. It would definitely drive some intrigue into the game. Just the multiplayer faithful though, they always buy it for like now they're playing it for Warzone, but beforehand they would just buy it for their team deathmatch and all that stuff, their kill streaks. So
I just wonder why does Microsoft spend another 45-minute developer direct to present the new Call of Duty? Besides the obvious thing, they want to attach the name Call of Duty to Xbox.
Oh yeah, Game Pass still. Well, I don't think it's gonna be Game Pass though at this rate. I think it's probably not. Because there's reports going around that it's might not. They're not
we talked about that earlier. Would be probably not
50,
a good idea. Not a good
50,
idea to
50.
not do it. But who knows at this point with Microsoft? Yeah, but that's what do you think? Why do they spend a dedicated developer direct to Call of Duty?
I have no idea, to be honest. I have no idea. Maybe it's because Call of Duty usually stands on its own 2 feet and can advertise itself a bit like GTA. Instead of taking up a large chunk of the actual showcase for a Call of Duty, they just put it by itself and get of its own shine. I hope it's not 45 minutes long, because I won't be watching 45 minutes of a game we know what we're going to get with, which is just a first-person shooter. It can't be that in-depth that you need 45 minutes to talk about it. So I kind of hope it's maybe even like 15 or 20 minutes long afterwards. It doesn't. A game like that doesn't justify a 45-minute deep dive. It really doesn't. You've also got Avowed coming out very soon. Like, that could do with a deep dive, but we're not going to get that.
Not for Avowed. I agree. Yeah,
but you are Call of Duty.
Yeah, maybe it's not 45 minutes long, like you said. Who knows?
Usually they shut it off like their top game of their showcase, right? So Call of Duty will be there, so that is going to be there. But the question is, are they going to just have it? Are they going to allocate the full 45 minutes to Call of Duty, or are they going to do like split, like sections? You know what I mean? For different games in it. For example, let's say 10 minutes for Call of Duty, another 15 minutes for Gear 6, because people have been waiting for Gear 6.
No, they're not going to do that.
I think that at all.
No, they have said it's a dedicated developer direct for that particular game. So
yeah, I'm gonna skip that one. I'll just read the bunch.
Yeah, of course, I'm going to watch it, but yeah, it just made me think, yeah, for a Call of Duty, where everybody knows what it is, and it is also not. I always say that these showcases are probably not for the general audience because they are not gonna watch it. You know, it's for the hardcore fans. Showcases are for hardcore fans. Yeah. And the hardcore fans don't need an explanation for Call of Duty unless they are doing something very different with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the hope.
Zombies
right?
ain't gonna cut it this year. They need a lot of innovation.
Yeah. So, yeah, good stuff. Let's move on a little bit from the Xbox showcase, and briefly talk about. We touched upon it briefly about the Switch 2. Nintendo came out earlier this week and said they're gonna have a Nintendo Direct in June, but they are not going to show the console there. But that's the first time where they officially mentioned the next Switch, and they said we'll definitely see it in this fiscal year, which ends in April next year for them. So, and then Nintendo's president described the Switch not as the Switch 2. He said the Switch Next model. They will not show that Switch Next in June, but in this fiscal year. So, what do you guys think about the Switch 2 coming probably then within the next 12 months?
Good. I need one because my Switch is in dire need of an upgrade, and I refuse to just get another Switch OLED. Yeah. So I've waited, and that's the only thing that needs upgraded now. So yeah, I'll be getting one day one.
Yeah.
Do y'all think it's going to still have the same functionality? It's like the OG Switch where you put on the dock. You think so? Because they
know it worked well. They know it worked really well. The Switch, the way that they've done it with the dock and the portability and things like that, it worked super well for them. They don't want to do too dissimilar. I think they're just going to focus on making it just better at what it was. Yeah, I think there was also rumors that they were changing the analog sticks and the Joy-Cons for magnetic sticks as well, which is always a good thing, especially with the Joy-Cons because they are prone to failure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stick drift, all that junk, and they're very small. I couldn't really.
When they brought out the Switch Lite was the worst possible thing they could have done with them Joy-Cons because the Switch, if your Joy-Con broke in the Switch Lite, the whole thing's fucked.
Yeah.
You can't just replace a Joy-Con.
No, I figured they would do something like, for example, you know how you got that PlayStation Edge controller where you can pop out the analog sticks. I was thinking maybe they would probably go more of the mobile route that they're doing now because they've been more bold in pushing that aspect as opposed to saying, hey, you can plug this on a dock and it can go on your TV. They've been pushing more on the mobile side. So I was like, what if they did that when they can just pop out the analog sticks if they mess up and you pop in newer ones and then you lock them back in place and you still can play if something's going on or if they die, you keep popping them in and out to charge them.
I think the problem you've got there though is that the Nintendo Switch is mainly like a one that the kids play on, mainly.
Yeah.
And having removable parts with kids.
I think
50-50 on that one.
The genius part about it. It's actually because, I have every console, but I let my kids play the most on the Switch because then they can take it to their room. I don't have to buy them a TV for their room. They can just play that thing in their room.
Yeah, you're out of the way, like, don't bother me.
I think it is more or less confirmed that it's gonna keep the same form factor principle thing with being portable and dockable. Also, it wouldn't really make much sense if you think about it. Prior to the Switch, Nintendo always had like a home console and a portable device. Yeah, from starting from Game Boy till the 3DS and everything, and they wouldn't split that up. Now they have unified basically all the developers to develop for one system that is both a home console and a portable thing. So they don't go back to having like two different consoles, basically a handheld and a docked one. And yeah,
Cheap support.
yeah,
They
absolutely.
I think we get it.
The other rumor that we have about the Switch is that it's probably backwards compatible, which would be absolutely awesome and smart to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it would be smart.
If you have to rebuy your
smart for consumers, because Nintendo is very good at selling you the same shit all over again. I don't know how many times I bought Super Mario Brothers, so
yeah. But we did get, along with that Switch 2 news, confirmation that they will do their own showcase in June for games software for the remainder of this year.
Yeah.
So at least we'll see what they've got panned out. The Pokemon that they've teased, because they have a new Pokemon in development, the next phase.
Yeah, but do you think it's gonna come out this year?
Yes.
Yeah, it's possible because Pokemon they're very good at getting that out on a yearly basis or a 2-year basis at least. Odds are though this new one, I would not be surprised they do something like Power World, literally.
Yeah.
You know what it is? I think it's based on. I think it's the next iteration of the Legend series that they're doing. So they did Legend Arceus, and I think this next version is another version of the Legend series, as opposed to the next Pokemon Gym game series.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I was curious. I mean, maybe they would copy Power World, because Power World was very, very popular. It is very, very popular. Like, instead of them, and their way of doing that, they'll have Team Rocket. You know what I mean? You play Team Rocket in Force or something like that. You're capturing Pokemon, similar to how Power World is doing.
Then the development time would be too short. Like Palworld came out in February, and if they're gonna release it this year, they wouldn't be able to
Well, not that particular one this year, but I'm saying something down the road.
Okay, down the road. Okay, yeah. I could see that definitely.
So that's
all right.
I don't see any major outside of that Pokemon, that next Legends variety. I don't see any major
no Donkey Kong
Nintendo announcements for this year, because I think obviously they'll be saving those big games for the
next 3D Mario and things like that is gonna be like a launch.
Not even Donkey Kong retro type releases. No, nothing like that. You guys think?
Don't think so. Not that close to the launch of the new console. They will definitely try to sell with all those bangers the next console. All right, guys. We are almost 3 hours into the show, so I want to move over to the community questions. The community questions of the week. That in the last show I forgot one, so I'm gonna start with that, and it comes in from Sin, and who's actually in the chat. Shout out to you. Yeah, he writes in, "Howdy Boxy, with the massive success of the Fallout series on Amazon spilling over the major spikes in player activity for the Fallout games, do you think that not having Fallout-themed series console, or at least a Fallout-themed wrap around skin, is a greatly missed opportunity?" See, that not just goes for Fallout.
Missing opportunities.
I think that not just goes for Fallout, but these console wraps. I have the Starfield console wrap. They are awesome. They are super high quality. They don't look cheap. They don't affect the console in any negative way. They're
flush.
Awesome.
They look flush on the console.
Flush. It's like from a meter away, you can't tell that this is a wrap. It looks like a custom console. It's an awesome quality, and there's so much potential for all major releases. When Fallout is you don't have a Fallout game ready, but at least do a Fallout rep. Hellblade is coming. Do a Hellblade rep. Do an Avowed rep. Do use that. It is so good, and it is the perfect solution. I'm not one who would buy, like, if they would have released a Starfield themed console, I wouldn't have bought that. I already have the Series X. I'm not gonna spend $550 just to get a Starfield themed console. But a $50 a buck rep that was 50 euros, yeah, I would absolutely get a Hellblade rep, and then later this year an Avowed rep. It's in my opinion a total missed opportunity because the quality of those things are awesome.
No, I agree. It feels like movies get more custom stuff from Microsoft in
Yeah,
terms of the console than the actual games, unfortunately.
yeah,
It's kind of like the same situation Sony's doing with those custom plates. Notice how you don't
yeah,
see a lot of creativity with those. You just see regular basic colors. You did
yeah,
get one with Spider-Man, but then they didn't launch the new console, and those cool plates can't be used on that new console. So
yeah,
it's like, yeah, missed opportunity. But no, that is unfortunate. You got
yeah.
ways of printing money, but you're not taking advantage of it.
Indeed,
Sadly.
indeed. So Abdel 1143 writes in and asks, do you guys also find the doom and gloom concerning Xbox discouraging, or should Phil Spencer really go? Great show, guys. I love you. Thank you, first of all. And yeah, who wants to
It's
go
a tough
first?
one because
Slippery
ultimately
slope.
the question that you've got to ask is A, who would replace, and B, who would be crazy enough to take that mantle?
Yeah.
Mm,
Phil took a big gamble with Game Pass. He took a big
yeah,
push forward in terms of opening the platform. He did
yeah,
all this. He was looking at, I see what he was doing. He was looking at a world where there was no barriers. Everybody just games, pick your box, you're good, everybody benefits. I see what he
yeah,
was going for. And I do agree that it is something that it should be, especially with PC gaming being what it is now. And you're seeing success of Helldivers 2 on PC. I do think that is a future that we are eventually going to head to, especially when console games or consoles in general have a ceiling, right? Nintendo is reached new heights with Switch, right? But PS5, I don't see touching PS2. PS2 was at like 160, 150 million total units.
yeah,
There's not going to be another console from Sony or Microsoft that will come close to those numbers. Consoles in general I don't want to say have lost their value, but I will say that consoles in a sense have gotten to this point where they're not as needed as then. You know what I'm saying? Back then, it was needed for a console to play these games at high fidelity and all this stuff. Now you got PC gaming at a point where you can get into this, play these games better on top of that, and get all the bells and whistles. Now you're getting trophy support. It's kind of obvious that console gaming is going to miss out on a good chunk of players because those players are eventually going to migrate to PC. So in a way, yes, I agree with him that the world, the future of gaming is open on more. Do I think he needs to go? See that right there again? That would imply that he did everything wrong with Xbox, right? And I would say he hasn't done everything wrong with Xbox. I say he's done a lot of good things. Game Pass is one of the coolest things he's done with Xbox. He saved Xbox in terms of relevancy for years.
yeah,
The problem with Phil Spencer, I think we all can agree, problem Phil Spencer, and this is a problem every executive at Microsoft. They spend too much time on social media and not enough time in these studios micromanaging and making sure everything is up to par. That's the problem.
Yep.
It's one thing of letting them cook, right? It's another to make sure they are cooking and they
Yep.
actually do got something.
I was
And they
was
actually are
about to say
innovative.
something similar. It feels like Phil has had great visions, and he basically saved the brand, because after the Xbox One launch, let's face it, Xbox was really down, and it was a big question whether they can survive within Microsoft, where they
Yep.
and yeah, and then when he took over, they had to close all these studios, and then they were left with 3 first-party studios basically when he started. And look where they are now. Yeah, they are generating more revenue within Microsoft than the Windows division. So obviously he has done a lot of things right. And for us gamers, he did also many things right. He was the one that pushed for backwards compatibility. Was one of his biggest first moves. Yeah.
Crossplay, which saved a lot of games in terms of longevity.
Yeah, it's like we wouldn't have that backward compatibility also on Sony, on the Sony side, PlayStation side of things, if it wasn't for that move. Yeah, and then obviously Game Pass and xCloud and having that unified ecosystem where I can go back and forth in between my PC and Xbox and the console and now my Ellie and play Starfield wherever I want and games like that, you know? So he has done a lot of things right. The very grand vision where this is actually growing their regular console base and the ecosystem on PC and so on, I think many of this vision lacked in execution. A lot of great ideas, but the growing to a lead. What was the phrasing? Leading first party studio portfolio or so. Great vision, and we are sitting 6 years later here and still haven't played anything. And so, in terms of execution, I probably would give him an A rating. In terms of visions and what he has done for the brand and actually saved Xbox, and with that we still have a competitor to PlayStation, which is super important. Yeah, just mentioned backwards compatibility. If it weren't for Microsoft pushing for that, or PS Plus, wouldn't be there in the way it is today. If it weren't for Game Pass, so competition is key, and he did all that, and he did it well. I wouldn't say based on current events that he needs to go. This like, okay, they had to close 4 studios and now Phil needs to take his head. Not. I look at it in a little different way. What other executive in his position has been there that long? No one. Besides Reggie Fils-Aimé from Nintendo. He was the only CEO that was in his position for 14 years, I think it was. Mm-hmm. Every other executive in that high-level position is being rotated in and out more frequently.
Yep.
And I'm not sure if it is a good thing for him to be that long in a position like that, because there is a reason why all other companies, and I'm not just talking gaming, by the way. It's like in every other company, you rotate your CEOs. You have
before
them
they
for
retire.
For like 6 years, 8 years, long enough to put in new visions, to put in, give new direction, and then you need a new guy.
Right.
I'm not sure when that point is for Phil Spencer. But with all the changes and ABK now in there, I don't think that Phil. I think I could see Phil retire, let's say, at the beginning, somewhere after the next generation launches, because we know that it's probably going to be fairly early, in about 2 years or so. I don't think. I'm not sure if we should base it on current events to call for his head per se, but I feel like something needs to change, because obviously Xbox isn't going in a direction where fans are happy, and that's the most important thing: is keep your fan base happy and customers satisfied, and so.
Phil's a good dude. We all we know he loves
Absolutely.
gaming. He's a good dude. The thing about, and I feel for Phil, because you remember the last time he had a mishap with Phil, he flat out said, the next big thing is on me. You remember that? He said that was during the ABK situation. He said that it's on me if it's a big thing. So I don't want, because we lost so many CEOs. I think about it, this generation alone. You lost Kai Sarai, you lost Andrew House, you lost Jack Tridden, you lost not Jack Tridden, he was last gen, but you lost Sean Layden, etc. There's so many big names you lost in this generation. I would hate to see Phil go as well, and it's unfortunate. I want to say maybe just his direction needs to be shifted a little bit, and what I mean by shifted, I mean, instead of day and date for certain things, maybe case by case basis. If it comes down to strictly them complaining about hardware sales, that's if the conversation is hardware sales. That's what he's either getting flack for, then sure, go for something like that. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The problem with the situation is just the software. You need a whole bunch of good software. You got to keep that going out there. At the end of the day, when you go for a subscription service, you're going for the subscription service like Netflix because the quality of films that's in there, the amount of quality films in there. If the amount of quality films are not in there, well, you're going to be less inclined to continue your membership. And just how it is. That's why a lot of people cancel their memberships after a month. They'll try a game to move on. Some people will continue to go if they really, really like it. You just need to have those crazy engaging games. And unfortunately, Blade is not going to be ready in time because that's just started, right? We don't have anything big from Fallout. We don't have any other big games right now that are currently, in the pipeline. Hopefully Gears is there at the showcase.
I wouldn't say that. This year is going to be the point where they get to that cadence. We have Hellblade now. We have Avowed. We have Indiana Jones. It's coming. But up until this point in time, I totally agree.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like at this current time, that's what I'm saying. That's what the vast majority is seeing. You know what I'm saying? This is what the optics are. And this is where they need to fix the optics here. And personally, it's a lot to take into account. Nobody wants to see a CEO go. I hate to see, like, we lost so many developers this generation. I don't want to see CEOs go on top of this. I do think Phil's headspace in the right in terms of vision. He's a visionary. He definitely has a good vision for gaming, and I definitely support the vision. But then the day as well, I also want Xbox to still be around as well. You know what I'm saying? I don't want Xbox to leave this conversation because God help us if Sony has a monopoly and Nintendo's the only one doing their own thing. Because Nintendo's not going to compete. They're just going to do their own side thing.
Exactly. So that's why we need a competitor to PlayStation. Right. And that's your point is also very valid. You have to ask the question, who would be the successor? And since Xbox as a division within Microsoft has now all this attention, generating more revenue than Windows, you really need to be careful when you call for Phil's head, because you don't know which suit is going to follow.
The old adage, "The better the devil you know," comes into play here.
Right. They said that about Jim Ryan. Remember Jim Ryan?
Yeah, exactly.
Jim Ryan is the worst. And then Hiroki Totoki literally is going full speed, 5 times faster.
Exactly. That's the thing. Sean Layden was the Phil of PlayStation, and got replaced by a Jim Ryan. And you never know. Mm-hmm. Everyone says, of course, Sarah Bond is gonna be the successor. You don't know, and you don't know how Sarah would handle the Xbox division within this gigantic corporation that is Microsoft. Phil has proven himself to be able to manage Xbox within Microsoft, So
I feel like Sarah would be a Hiroki Totoki. She seems like she would be all in. Do y'all get that vibe from her? I thought she would just go 5 times more aggressive.
I get that from Matt Booty, definitely.
I don't know. He makes weird decisions. I don't know. Matt Booty is weird.
I don't know. Matt Booty is super weird. Honestly, I don't know what Sarah really stands for. So she has been managing Game Pass, and she has been is now since 3 months or so the president of Xbox, has also the hardware division under her. But I don't know what is her vision. She is like, I really don't get her. What makes her this standout figure, which Phil had, obviously, with all the stuff we talked about. So
whereas we know, and this is the problem with you couldn't have Matt Booty couldn't be the leader, because ultimately his vision, as we know from the emails leaked, is
true.
Aggressively exclusive. Aggressively exclusive. Fuck them. Don't care. Everything exclusive. And we know Satya does not want that. Satya wants the complete opposite of that. He wants everything to go everywhere. Everyone play the games.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't, like, Matt Booty could never lead, because ultimately Satya would go, no, I'm telling you what is happening.
Yeah, I'm the boss here. I paid this. You're going this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, and a lot of people give Phil flack like he's Don Matrick. I think we all can agree Don Matrick is the worst. It's one of the worst that ever happened.
Yeah,
he was cool. He was a visionary too. He gave some good stuff, but let's keep it a buck. Was he really a people person? Was he really for the gamer? No. Did he know? Did he have a clue how to run a business in terms of, or did he have a clue on how to operate in front of everybody in public perspective? No, he did not. He was the worst. Well, I told you to deal with it. Or we have a product for you. It's called Xbox 360. That worked. That didn't work out for him.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah, be careful when you call for Phil's head. We could do a lot worse. Gally, the Epirus, writes in, what can be said by Xbox which would justify to their fans as to why it was the right decision to close down the 4 studios this week?
Ultimately, nothing. Nothing. It's got absolutely nothing to do with the fans.
Right.
Nothing to do with the fans.
Especially if it's a new game and it's a game that literally came out at a moment where people were saying you can't make a good game. Which I realized that was like the big narrative, like, oh, all Microsoft can do is Halo, Gears, Forza, and then you get Hi-Fi Rush that completely, shocks everyone. It's a really good game. That could have been, well, I wouldn't say it would be their Uncharted moment, right? But that could have been a game like their standout with a sequel if it was given another shot.
It could have been one of the stable house IPs,
Absolutely,
that they have. Yeah.
I believe it. It definitely had it, especially, and it's just weird because you just dropped it on PlayStation.
Yeah.
So now you've got more eyes on it, more people want it. So that sucks.
Dave Ramos writes in, with the news this week being fairly sobering, I'm going to stay in the land of pessimism for a little while longer. Nestled with Booty's email, he reiterated Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is still coming in 2024. What are the chances this game gets delayed?
I doubt it.
Yeah, I doubt that.
I would be surprised if Xbox hasn't learned from the past and only give release dates when you're certain to meet it. They would be really stupid. And since they only announced it in January and that it's coming this year, I also don't think so. I mean, I didn't really want to bring it up in the show because I feel like it's another one of these insiders, but apparent the target launch months for Xbox 24 lineup has been revealed. The Verge has been putting this out, and they said so Bethesda is targeting Starfield's Shattered Space for September. Then Call of Duty is coming in October. And Avowed and the Microsoft Flight Simulator in November, and Indiana Jones in December. That's what The Verge leaked earlier this week. Honestly, to me, this is just one of these insider things. It's a fairly educated guess. Call of Duty in October, of course. Yeah, Avowed in November. Yeah, okay. I'm not sure if Indiana Jones, if they would do a December release. But yeah, I think they are pretty confident for a 24 release this since they only just announced it for this year. If they would have announced it like 2 years ago, it's coming in 24. Okay, then there would be a chance, but not after what happened with Redfall, Starfield, Forza, and all these other games that got delayed for years, Halo, and so on. The Epirist writes in and says, will Ninja Theory be the next victim?
No. They have a full team. They got
well, not only that, but they've not only have they got a full team, they've literally built them a studio from scratch. It's too much of an investment to let that studio go.
Yeah. Not even so much as dropping.
They don't even have a big team. That's the thing. Like, the team is still not big. It's like 100 odd people. It's still 100 odd people.
100? 100?
120, 130 people. It's not big.
Yeah. The team originally was like 10, right? like
20,
10,
20,
like
20
yeah.
on the
Well, it was
original.
20 that made the original game. They had about 50 staff, but the vast majority of staff were farmed out to
Okay.
generate money for the
To make it.
studio by helping develop other games.
Gotcha. Okay, so yeah, nah, Ninja Theory is fine. That's actually a big investment that I think honestly will pay off. It looks like a great game. I love the original, so I already know they're gonna deliver on that part. Especially in the sound alone, they deliver with Hellblade too.
I hope so too. I mean, but I do get the debate around it. After closing down studios that delivered you games like Prey, like Ghostwire Tokyo, like Hi-Fi Rush, and you still shut them down, of course the question comes up. So I do get the question, but I don't think that Ninja Theory. But who knows? Hey, Joseph Posmic writes in and says, "I hope there will be." Pardon me. I hope there's will be more about games, less about the Twitter drama of doom and gloom. This show, different question here. Unreal Engine 5, is it too heavy for current gen consoles?
No, it's just a really poorly optimized engine so far, and it's getting better.
Yeah. I've seen that with Tekken 8. It's really, really good. It's a big upgrade for console gaming for sure. It's great. But I do see consoles having a little bit more trouble, like struggling with certain like animations, popping, stuff like that, like certain things, especially in fighters. But yeah, no, I agree with Dutch here. It's a good engine. It just needs a little bit more tweaking for the console side of things. PC, it's fine.
I agree. We forget that Unreal is still pretty much in its very early phase. I know it's already Unreal 5.4 out now, but we haven't seen a game in Unreal 5.4. And
how long was Unreal Engine 4 out for? It was like years, and this is 5's been out like a year and a half, maybe.
Yeah,
let's say 2, but yeah, that's the thing. And we have barely seen any Unreal 5 games. There were a couple of games that come to mind. Immortals of Avium came out. RoboCop came out, which
Tekken
actually
8.
ran at Tekken, and RoboCop ran at 60 and looked beautiful, and from a AA studio, so I wouldn't be too worried. It's we haven't seen the bigger studios that really know how to manage this engine release any pardon me anything yet. Let's wait and see until we play a Hellblade now in 2 weeks. Yes,
that's going to be a showcase. Gears is going to look amazing.
Gears is going to look amazing. Yeah, Tomb Raider's going to come out within the next 12 months.
Gears is when you find out what that engine is capable of by a studio who knows how to use that engine.
Yeah,
exactly.
Keep in mind,
Hellblade's going to look fantastic, but again, Hellblade has chosen a very different direction.
It's more of a storytelling type of approach. That's how Hellblade has always been. Storytelling.
Yeah. And again, it's their first time using Unreal Engine 5 and trying to optimize for it and try to get their vision through it. Whereas the Coalition are literally the technical arm of Xbox. They're the technology division. So if they can't get Unreal Engine running pristine on console, then there's no developer in any studio for any platform that's going to do any better.
It's gonna be it's gonna take a few games, but you'll see eventually it become streamlined. The reason why Unreal Engine 4 had no issues because again it's ancient tech. Everybody knew how to run it. This is new tech. It's new bells, new whistles. It's new ways of getting things out there. So give it I would say 3-4 years. You'll see even more fine-tuned in a lot of these games, and a lot of people are playing. Like a lot of the games that probably have struggles now are going to be patched up the wazoo, and you're going to see them run even more fluid. But
I mean, in 3 or 4 years, we will have the next gen of consoles. So I think we will see it actually rather sooner. Again, there has not been a major studio bringing out Unreal 5 game. Hellblade, definitely. We have Stalker 2 coming this year. We have Avowed coming this year in Unreal 5. So yeah, I'm pretty confident that it will get the hang of it.
Yeah.
But guys, let's wrap this show up. It's getting late over here.
Yep.
It has been a blast. BitCloud, it was awesome that you joined us here.
Yes, sir, man. Saw the lives. Like, oh, let me get in this chat. Let me get in this. It's a lot of insanity going on for sure.
Yeah.
Start off with the weekend. Hopefully Sony learns a big lesson from that, which a lot of people think they're going to turn back their strategy because of that. Like, no, Sony wants money. They're not going to stop doing PC or refrain from day to day, which evidently will come. No, that's still in the pipeline. That's going to happen. They just now know they can't try a PC gamer like they do a console gamer. That's the big difference.
Yeah,
so
indeed,
the hard way. But yeah, no, thanks for having me. It was always cool to talk to everybody here and shout out to everybody in the chat.
Yeah, and let people know where they can find you.
Yes, sir. It's BitCloud Gaming, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. You guys find me there. You can also find me at Lognet as a writer and IGN as a curator for playlists.
Nice. Sweet. Dutch, I think most people know where to find you, but definitely let people know what you've coming up.
Yeah. So obviously I did the indie showcase and I've had a bit of a break. So I'm figuring out what else to do now for the channel. To be honest, I enjoy live streaming from time to time, but it's not a big mover and shaker when it comes to views and things. So that's just an ad hoc thing now. But yeah, it's just now thinking of what else I can do to provide decent content that's enjoyable for people on the channel aside from podcasting. So until I figure that out, you'll find me everywhere at Wondering Dutch.
Sweet. And let me also say a big thank you, of course, to everyone who joined us here live today. And of course, everyone who listened after the fact and made it this far. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Wasn't the most positive gaming week, but definitely an interesting one. Gave us lots to talk about. We had a blast. I hope you guys had enjoyed the show too. We will, of course, be back next week, regular time, Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central Europe, or 7 p.m. UK time. BitCloud, thanks again for hanging out with us. And, of course, I see you guys next week. And don't forget to game on.